you do when opposites attract? What do you do when opposites attract? What do you do when opposites attract? What do you do?
What can you do when your worlds collide? Chance, forget about the past. Ride on, seek a new sensation. Beat the hesitation. Oh, gonna break the rules. Oh, gonna break the rules. We're gonna break the rules tonight. The possibilities. What should you do when tension snaps? When the games we play getting much too fast. Ride on, seek a new sensation. Beat the hesitation. Oh, gonna break the rules. Oh, gonna break the rules. We're gonna break the rules tonight. The possibilities.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 24 of the Retro Movie Love Podcast. My name is Michael Ferrari of Cinema de Meep, and with me today is my good pal Jon Donahue. Welcome, Jon.
Hey Michael, thanks for having me back.
Thank you so much for joining me again. We had so much fun on the 1984 show. I said, well, we got to get together again for 85. And
Oh, I had a blast, and I'm so glad you asked me back. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you were going to unfriend me on Facebook. I didn't know what was going to happen, so I'm glad I'm here because, I had a blast.
Same here, and I'm sure we can come up with some more good stuff with 85. We love doing these year podcasts because there's just so many great movies to talk about, and endless movies. We have so many movies we could talk about for 1985, much like 84, and we're going to get to that soon, I'm sure. But first, let's talk about our. Actually, you know what? First, before I do get into our recently seen, I gotta say congratulations, man,
Thanks.
because you had a little movie that opened up recently that you were in and you worked on and you did a lot of hard work on. Can we tell the audience what that movie was?
E.T.
He's close though.
Yeah,
He's actually close with E.T.
of course you can tell him. Go ahead.
a little movie called Bridge of Spies, the Steven Spielberg film that you worked on, opened recently.
My gosh.
And did pretty well. And I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to soon.
I think with your extra ticket stub, we could have beat Goosebumps. There's one more, and not a matinee ticket, an adult ticket, not the cheapo matinee ticket. If you went to the evening show, we would have beat Goosebumps by about $15.
I was a deciding factor, and I stayed home that day. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to let it go because you have two kids.
Yeah, blaming them. Always blaming my kids for that stuff.
Exactly. It was a blast to work on. My two top favorite movies of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jaws, I saw a gazillion times when I was a kid, to the point where my dad would just drop me off at the movies to see Raiders after like the 8th week in a row. He's like, just go. I'll pick you up in 2 hours. Because he had seen, I couldn't get enough of it. And funny enough, the movie Jaws was big on my childhood too, because when I was a teenager, I worked at Universal Studios in Florida at the Jaws attraction. I was a skipper on the Jaws ride. Best job I ever had.
Awesome.
I'm eating grapes, by the way. And so working with Steven Spielberg and being directed by him was it's something that you never think is ever possible. So it really wasn't on my bucket list because it's something that is like a dream. Does that make sense?
I hear you.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to say it's a small part. I mean, I would have played a lamppost in Bridge of Spies, and I play this character named Agent Faye, and it's a nice climactic scene in the movie, and I'm very proud of it. And just to be seen in one of his movies is incredible. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
No problem. But let's not discount lampshades or lamps especially in spy movies. Very important.
You eat lampposts. And Steven said, I call him Steven. I sound like such a douchebag. He said, hey, John, it's John, right? I said, yeah. He goes, I'm kidding. He goes, can you play a lamppost? I said, well, and I couldn't stand still long enough. He's like, all right, just move and tap on the glass. So yeah. I met Checkpoint Charlie in the movie, and anyway, thank you, Michael. That was it's a dream, so thank you. Yeah.
Well, Steven had a movie in 1985, so
it's Mr. Spielberg to you, buddy.
That's right. Steve? No. Mr. Spielberg, yes, you're right. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about our movies that we've been watching, or stuff that we've been watching recently. What have you been digging through in your collection, or otherwise?
Are we talking in theaters, or are we talking on home video?
Anything.
All right, well, let's talk about... I just saw a movie in the theater called Bridge of Spies. I just saw a movie. I saw my buddy Dylan Minnette is the lead in this film, so I went to support him. I've never read any of these books or seen any of the TV specials or home video incarnations, but the movie is Goosebumps. I went and saw that, and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Dylan's blowing up, man. He's a wonderful actor, and I just finished a movie with Ron Howard called Inferno in Budapest, and I was cast in a small role. I don't keep saying small, but it was not a huge, significant role in a movie opposite Dylan Minnette called Man in the Dark, coming out next year. Cool. And Dylan's a great guy, so I went to support him. And the movie's a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. All the creatures and the monsters and Jack Black. And it's just a fun movie to take the family to. Of course, I was a grown man sitting by myself with a bucket of popcorn and a package of Twizzlers. But that was my family. Each popcorn kernel was a family.
Funny enough, I did see that movie this morning in a theater.
Oh, yeah. Did you just take a bowl of popcorn?
I dropped off my son. We dropped off our son at daycare. Me and my wife and our 9-month-old baby.
Drop the kids off before you see Goosebumps.
We took her.
Make sure the kids do not see that film.
We took our 9-month-old who slept through the entire movie.
Right.
It was a completely empty movie theater, so I don't feel guilty taking a 9-month-old to it.
Take him to an early matinee if you're going to baby, or go to the latest show possible, right?
Right.
I don't know, what are the rules of taking an infant, a baby? Are you afraid to take a child like that, an infant, a child, into a theater for fear of people would complain?
Yes, but that's why I always make sure to go to a theater I know is going to be empty, and it's always like really early. And a kid's movie on a weekday, I knew it was going to be pretty empty, and it was completely empty. So we got to see. I mean, she slept through the whole thing anyway, and like you said, it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's not. It's nothing. It's not the spectacular thrill ride of the summer or the fall, whatever it is now. It is the fall. It's the fall, of course it is.
Yeah.
And
yes, it's the fall.
But it's a fun enough movie, and I had a good time watching it. I'm not going to get as satisfied as seeing maybe Bridge of Spies, but that little movie. But no, I had a good time watching it. So.
Take your kid to Bridge of Spies. He'll love the spy negotiations. How old is he now?
Benicio is 3. So.
3. Oh, he's going to love it. He's going to probably be explaining things to you.
Totally.
So I'm just letting. Oh, that's fun. Well, it's a fun movie, and I'm proud of Dylan, and I'm happy for him, and I've done like 2 projects with him, and he's such a great kid, and I'm happy he's blowing up, and he's getting some great offers to do other projects, and this is a big movie for him.
That's cool. Anything else you've been watching?
I just finished. Now, I don't know when this is going to air, but it's a couple of days before Halloween. Can we say that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. It's 2 days before Halloween. Again, I'm eating grapes. And I just finished watching on Blu-ray, because I got one of those fancy new curved screen TVs.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. It looks really cool.
Can I swear?
Yeah, please.
Holy shit. This thing is fucking great. It's so beautiful. Anyway, long story short, Halloween 1 I've seen a million times, but it's just one of those movies you have to watch. It's called frickin' Halloween. So what I did is to change it up this time, is I listened to the commentary track by John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis, which I had, for some stupid reason, I've never listened to.
I love that commentary track.
Oh, it was perfect. She is just hilarious, because she just keeps talking, and then she's yelling at him, and he's like, okay, calm down, and he starts getting raspy with her, and like, this is one of those relationships they've known each other since obviously this mid-70s.
Yeah.
They made it. So they're familiar with each other, obviously, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. Things I never even noticed in the movie. That's what you listen to commentaries for, at least for me, because it is literally, if any of you aspiring actors, directors, anybody in the industry, you listen to a commentary track of some of your favorite movies, and it is a film school in a box. You know?
Yeah.
Because they explain every shot and how they shot it, and the actors can talk about what they were doing and how they came up with their, what they were doing in the scene. It's pretty incredible. And then I was so into the Halloween movie, I watched part 2 and listened to the director, Rick Rosenthal, and an actor in the movie with him. I forget his name. My God, it's terrible. And it was fun listening to them on talking about Halloween 2 and what they did and the secrets that go into your favorite movie. So, yeah, it was that's what I did tonight, right before this.
Well, that's a good night.
Yeah. What about you, Michael?
I haven't been watching a lot of horror for Halloween, sadly. I wish I have. This show's going to go out in November, but
okay.
I did the West
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah. So I watched Child's Play not too long ago. I love.
Oh my God, can we talk about Child's Play really quick?
Yeah.
Michael, there's gonna be a 4-hour podcast, folks. So sit
of course, it will. Yeah, it always is.
Child's Play. I worked at a movie theater in, was it 88, 89?
88, yeah.
88. Okay. I was a teenager, and it played at the theater. It was a single screen movie theater in upstate New York. I didn't get it. Back in the 80s, you had all this wealth of great horror movies from the 80s. Do you know what I mean? Where you just kind of took it for granted. And now you look back, it's like, man, I cherish those movies. And I was never into Chucky. I was never into any of those movies. They were just goofy. It's like the doll jumps on Catherine Hicks in the first one, and she's fun. Why don't you just throw it off of her? It's a freaking doll.
Yeah. Okay,
so just throw it. It's like she holds on to it. It's like, put the doll down. He's great. Yeah, put him down. That's the only problem I have with the Child's Play movies is when Chucky lunges on somebody and they can't get them off of them. But here's the thing. I watched the Blu-ray. It was like $6 at Best Buy. And I said, $6, I'll try it again. And this was 2 weeks ago. I hadn't seen the movie since 88. I had a blast. It was so much fun. Mm-hmm. And the Blu-ray is great, and I have surround sound to go with that awesome TV. And someone's going to come and rob me now. And you can hear the footsteps running behind you, and it just adds to when you have a good sound mix. It just adds to that experience, especially a horror movie.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. Here's long end of this, short end of this. I love Child's Play. I'm kind of glad I rediscovered it.
I loved it. I watched it like twice in a row. It was just so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Just haven't seen it in a while, but I was thinking about it a lot recently, and just like, wow, this movie keeps popping in my head. Why? So I just needed to watch it. I watched it again after that because I just had so much fun watching it.
It's great, right?
Yeah, it's really good. And the director of that movie,
Tom Holland.
Yeah,
Tom Holland. He did Fright Night, which is one of my top, in the horror genre, top 2 or 3. The Lost Boys just narrowly edging it out for the best horror movie that I love. Poltergeist is number 1 for horror films.
Yeah, and that's going to make an appearance maybe today.
Ooh,
since we're talking about 1985 movies. Right?
All
right. Also, I watched, speaking of horror movies, I watched The Final Girls, which was a slasher homage set in the 80s. And I thought that was fun, but I had some problems with it because it was a PG-13 movie version of an 80s slasher movie. So that essential issue with me didn't
Michael,
really work.
I watched the same movie a couple of weeks ago with some buddies, and there's some really good moments in it, but I think one of my friends had a good point was I think it was convenient that it was a time travel movie when they needed it to be convenient. Yeah. It was convenient when it was a horror movie when they needed it to be convenient. It's just I don't think they I don't know. It didn't flow right. Something's wrong with it.
Yeah, it felt a little off to me. I just didn't, like, the dramatic moments were a bit too dramatic, and
some of the characters were just fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Really annoying. I can take one character being annoying in a horror movie because you know he's eventually going to die, hopefully soon. But there were at least 3 annoying characters in that.
That's a new thing in like new movies, especially new horror movies. There's a lot more annoying characters than there used to be in movies. I just don't know why. And a lot of people are mean to each other now too in movies. That's the new thing.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it.
Movie bullying is
bullying. Somebody
has to stop this shit.
That's right. I also revisited. Which one? What did I revisit? Oh, I revisited...
You have, Michael. I think... What's going on over there?
I revisited The Gift, which I thought was excellent film.
What year was that? Who's in that?
That's the one from this year with Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall. And,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
All right. Is it a horror movie?
It's a thriller.
Jason Bateman in a thriller.
It's a thriller, yes. And initially I'm like, why is Jason Bateman in this movie? But then the movie does something really clever that I didn't expect with the casting and with the premise, and it was a nice surprise. It's basically kind of a riff on the 90s From Hell movies.
Yeah.
Whereas in this case, the friend from hell, or the creepy guy from hell, and it really goes to really unexpected places and kind of in almost like rich dramatic ways too. So I was kind of taken off guard at how good this film is.
Awesome.
So it's definitely going to be in my top 10 of the year. Yeah.
The Gift.
Really good film.
Thank you for the suggestion.
And also, I recently rewatched Freaky Friday because Jamie Lee Curtis.
I love Jodie Foster.
Oh, the Jamie Lee Curtis version I watched.
Oh, I've never seen it, but
I really liked it. I think she's actually really good in this movie. I know it's also a Lindsay Lohan movie, but it's really the Jamie Lee Curtis show. This movie.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm not going to say I'm going to check it out, but I do love Jamie Lee as demonstrated by my viewings of Halloween 1 and 2 this evening, and growing up watching her breasts bounce around in Grandview, USA, and Trading Places. Both videotapes were well worn in certain areas. The pause was just deadly for videotapes.
Oh yes.
Another one of those scenes was Beverly D'Angelo in Vacation.
Oh yes,
the shower scene. Now I'm just a perv.
We've all been there with VHS tapes. Don't worry.
I'll be over there as soon as this podcast is over. I gotta still have the VHS loaded with that scene. So
a friend of mine, Andrew Rooney, who encouraged me to see a movie that I feel like everyone has seen, but I haven't seen, a movie that's become a cult movie, a midnight movie, and it's called The Room. Have you seen The Room yet?
Gosh, why am I flaking? It sounds so familiar.
It's a notorious so bad it's good movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's from the early 2000s, and I watched it recently. And
2003 or 12. I'm looking at IMDb. There's like 15 movies. Well, I'm making that up. There's
2000
called The Room.
2003, I want to say.
All right,
somewhere around there.
This one has Tommy Wiseau in it.
Yes, the great Tommy Wiseau.
Juliette Danielle and Greg Sestero. 3 of my top favorite actors. I wish those 3 would do another movie together. Maybe The Room 2, The Closet or something. I don't know.
It's famous because this guy, Tommy Wiseau, kind of self-financed this movie.
Oh, really?
He wrote, directed, starred in it.
He does.
Yeah, and he's quite the character. It's quite the movie. It's a movie that's going to stick in my head forever because it's so out there. It's so crazy.
Yeah, he's an interesting looking dude. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be a bully myself, but damn, just wow.
This is a movie that's become like a midnight movie that people go to, like Rocky Horror Picture Show. In this case, they bring actual props with them, and when there's certain scenes in the movie, they break the props out. This is where this movie has gone to in just 12 years. So it's pretty amazing. He may have made a movie that cost a lot of money to make in 2003.
Yeah,
he blew like $6 million on this movie, and I don't think it was a hit.
Holy crap!
But
I'm looking up Greg Sestero, his co-star now. He did a movie called Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. So,
that sounds good.
Check that out.
I want to see that.
I saw Dude Bro Party Massacre 2. I didn't know they made a 3. So good.
He actually wrote a book about the making of this movie, that actor, because it was apparently a pretty crazy shoot too, in addition to a pretty crazy movie.
Wow.
And I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Andrew. The movie's going to stick in my head forever. It's many crazy moments and weird pacing and scenes I just can't forget as much as I want to. Or I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Michael has now started the Tommy Wiseau fan club for all you fans out there. So reach Michael to get the information on how to find that.
Yes, I want
the free bumper sticker.
I want The Room too. Please.
Yes,
please.
There you go. A prequel to The Room.
Please, Tommy, make it happen.
Yeah,
so good.
I want to see this film now.
You got to see it. Once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it.
Listen, it got a 3.5 on IMDb. I'm all over it.
It deserves it.
Oh yeah, it's on Amazon.
All right, so we're going to get into our 1985 movies. Let's talk about the movies that we didn't make the list.
All right.
There's quite a few. What didn't quite make your top 10?
Oh, Jesus, let me look. Why don't you go first?
Okay, well, there's a lot that didn't make my top 10 1985 list because there's just so many movies. I really wanted to talk about Death Wish 3 because it's such an amazing movie, but I'm going to save that for a canon podcast at some point. And then Explorers, which I liked a lot. And
I love that film.
I'll probably talk about that in some sort of sci-fi fantasy or kids movie podcast. Certain Fury, that was a great exploitation movie from '85. I'll say that for the New World Pictures podcast, as well as The Boys Next Door and The Stuff, all from New World, all great movies. Vision Quest, I know I'm going to talk about on a Teen Angst podcast at some point. Lost in America, the Albert Brooks movie, I really like that, and Purple Rose of Cairo. Both great movies, but there were just so many movies that I wanted to include in this list, so they kind of just didn't make the cut, cut. And then I have a whole other huge list of movies. Like,
it sucks when they can't make the cut, because then you look at your 10 and you're like, there's only 10. There's got to be more. There's got to be like a 1A and a 2B and you know what I mean?
Totally.
Just too many movies. I have, like, on my list, Silverado, Daryl, The Explorers, Goonies. Just one of the guys. Yes, those are not on my list.
But you have a lot of good ones too. So
yeah,
you just can't help it. Year of the Dragon, what came out in '85. Weird Science, Tomboy, which I always talk about on this podcast. I feel like Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. It's such a fun movie.
The adventure ended pretty fast too.
Yeah,
they're supposed to do a bunch of those.
I would have loved to see a bunch of those movies. Pritzi's Honor. Do you remember that?
Of course I do. Jack Nicholson and Kathleen Turner.
Great movie. Mask with Eric Stoltz and Cher.
And Jim Carrey. Oh, sorry, wrong one. And don't forget Sam fucking Great Mustache Elliott.
Yes.
Yes, the man.
Definitely. So many good ones. But we'll get to them eventually in this podcast because we talk about a lot of movies. So okay, so let's get into it, our top 10s, and we're going to start with a TV spot for your number 10.
Number 10.
5 strangers meeting for the first time.
Look, I'm not going to discuss my private life with total strangers.
5 people with a talent for trouble.
What was that ruckus? Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
5 lives that will never be the same.
Man, I consider you guys my friend. I'm not wrong, am I?
The Breakfast Club.
Demented and sad, but social.
Rated R. Starts Friday at select theaters. Check newspapers for locations.
Yes, folks, that was The Breakfast Club. John Hughes, like so many 80s kids, was a god. Look at the movies he did. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, Curly Sue. I'm kidding about Curly Sue. It wasn't very good. But John Hughes was just God, 16 Candles. In fact, I think 16 Candles was the first John Hughes movie I saw in a theater. And then, of course, I was hooked. I was a huge fan of Long Duck Dong, and Molly Ringwald was the best. I was just a huge fan. I still am of John Hughes, and he still is in my top 5 favorite directors of all time. What a great cast in this film, too. Emilio Estevez, and you've got, of course, Molly Ringwald. You've got Judd Nelson. And Ali Sheedy, who, by the way, I had and still have a crush on. Anything with Ali Sheedy, I was game for. In fact, Blue City just came out on Blu-ray with Judd Nelson and her, and I just
did not buy that.
Oh my God! It came in the mail yesterday. I was so excited. I love Blue City. Do you like Blue City?
I remember not liking it, but that was like 1986. So I could have changed my opinion.
It's so bad. It's good. It's just Judd Nelson and Ali Sheedy. The only Ali Sheedy movie I really remember disliking in the 80s, and I love the Goot, Steve Guttenberg. I love the Goot. But I did not like John Badham's Short Circuit. I tried to watch that literally maybe a month ago. Just say I'm crazy. I put it in again. I could barely get through it. It is so and I got to be honest, she is over the top bad in that movie. And she's one of my favorite actresses. I mean, it's just bad. I'm sorry, I'm pissing off a lot of people.
They just totally disconnected.
That's my opinion. But back to The Breakfast Club. She's wonderful. You got Anthony and Michael Hall, and hopefully I didn't leave any of those kids out. And of course the principal, the dean. Oh my God, John Vernon,
Paul Gleason,
the late great Paul Gleason. He was in Die Hard. He was in just what a great, wonderful character actor. Mm-hmm. And the movie really struck a chord with teens. Because John Hughes, and everybody knows this, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, he was tuned in to what we were feeling back in the 80s. And that's what people, the kids, you got the jock, you got the popular girl, you got the nerd, you got, all those groups were all represented in this film, and they were all brought together over a detention on a weekend. And will they all talk to each other on a Monday? Probably not. And that's what the sad thing about it was. It was real. It was so real, and it still resonates today. I mean, I have a nephew who just turned 18, and he loves The Breakfast Club, and I'm so happy about that. But The Breakfast Club, a wonderful film that is iconic, one of the most iconic 80s films.
I love The Breakfast Club. Of course, I love The Breakfast Club. It's a movie that I loved for so many years, since I saw it in the theater in '85, and I appreciated it, but I think I did prefer a movie like 16 Candles to it more, because
that's why this is honestly, it's number 10. I love The Breakfast Club, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't discover it until later in the 80s. I was never a huge Breakfast Club fan back in the day. That makes sense. Like when it first opened, I didn't even see it in the theater. I discovered it on a home video. But I was a huge 16 Candles fan.
Right.
But I still love The Breakfast Club. Even now, I love it even more than I ever did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I appreciated 16 Candles more because it was a bit sillier, and The Breakfast Club definitely took itself a bit more serious.
Yeah.
And I was 10, so it wasn't like I really wasn't quite ready to fully grasp the
it was heavy
the high school experience. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy themes in it. I could definitely relate to a lot of it too, and I know I've grown to really love and appreciate the movie, and just love the fact that John Hughes was this older guy who really understood the teenager and got the experience. Of course, as you get older too, you do kind of feel like, oh, maybe they're just being whiny teenagers, and but part of me who loves teen movies so much really kind of appreciates what this particular filmmaker was saying with these teen movies of the 80s, and he's so spot on in The Breakfast Club, and it's full of the cliches of like mixed characters who come together and have to kind of have to learn from each other in a way, but I think he does it in such a way that you just kind of, when this movie is over, you do really feel like you've experienced something with them.
Yeah.
I saw this I actually went to see this in a theater a few months ago here in San Diego at a repertory screening. It played on their big screen too, which was really nice, and it was a really beautiful theater. And it just clicked with everyone. There were like teenagers there were older people there. It's like we were just all like having this common experience of watching The Breakfast Club, and a movie that's familiar to a lot of us, but and we know so well, we know the lines so well, and so much dialogue, so much quotable dialogue in the movie too, and we just really enjoyed it again, and it just struck me how much the music in the movie really works too. Like it just works so well. And another thing that John Hughes did so well in his movies is he just really knew how to use music.
Oh yeah, look at any of his movies. It's just so music. The 80s, totally 80s music. You listen to it now, it's like, holy shit.
Right.
But it's so 80s. It's great. And you're right. It's just I love watching it now. And I go to whenever they have a screening here, we go with some friends, and people still go. It still packs the house. People still laugh at the lines, and when not the serious lines, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Now Judd Nelson's definitely the comic relief in this movie.
And so is Brendan Gleeson. Or what's
John Gleeson, yes. Nick Gleeson. His Irish
God, I'm not drinking. Something's in these grapes.
Yes. I need some scotch, by the way.
I'm sober for this because I don't want to say anything on this podcast that I'll regret later, which is probably already too late. But with the music and with the film, I just would like to close it by saying, when I see it now, I love it even more, and it's a bittersweet thing because I miss the 80s so much, and that movie kind of just encapsulates, in a way, the 80s and in the way it used to be, and just, those stars, they were so big then, you know what I mean? Yeah. Those kids.
There's a reason why The Breakfast Club hasn't been remade, because I feel like it would feel pretty phony.
Yeah.
And I don't think a studio is willing to touch it, because they know it's going to be something that's completely not what it was. I mean,
the attention spans, you can't do it now. I don't think kids are going to be on their phone. They can't sit and watch a bunch of kids in a detention talking. They would never sit through that.
Yeah, totally.
It'd be all CG. The whole school would be CG. They'd shoot the thing in front of a green screen.
I'd imagine the kids in the movie themselves, the characters would have to be kids who are addicted to technology and just instead of like wanting to connect with each other, they'll probably just want to connect with someone on their phone. And
oh God, you just gave a studio head an idea. Jeez, it could be the Breakfast Club, but they're going to be on their cell phones. This is perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
No.
Thanks for the remake idea. Awesome. Watch for the Breakfast Club coming out in 2 years.
2 years. Found footage Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Cinema Do Meet presents the Breakfast Club reboot.
God, I hope they give me credit.
Molly Ringwald will play the principal. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Judd Nelson will be the janitor. We got this thing written.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
All right, so moving on. Here's a trailer for my number 10. Here we go.
They hunted him down, murdered his friends, and took the only thing he would kill for.
You gotta cooperate, right?
Wrong. Now, somewhere, somehow, someone's gonna pay.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last? I lied.
The odds are unbeatable, but he's unstoppable. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Commando.
Let's party.
Rated R. Starts Friday, October 4th at a theater near you.
All right, so that's Commando. I had to start it off with a little action, or a lot of action. I love Commando. I loved it in '85. I still love the Commando. It's 30 years old. It turned 30 in October, so just turned 30. And I think this movie still holds up. It's a lot of fun. It's silly. It's over the top. It's like people getting killed left and right. It's Schwarzenegger and all his like swaggering glory and one-liners and all that stuff. And I love that about Schwarzenegger. That's the kind of Schwarzenegger movie I want to see. I want to see him kick a lot of ass and take a lot of names. And
he can't say the names without you laughing, but he'll take them.
Exactly. And it's like a simple story of a guy who's trying to get his daughter back from the bad guys. I mean, how basic can you get? And he tears apart malls to get to her. He's like hijacking cars and ripping off doors and blowing shit up left and right. And I don't know. I just it's the kind of movie I liked in the 80s and the kind of movie I still kind of like now. I mean, I think Commando to me is one of my favorite action movies of the 80s because it is, again, so silly and over the top, but it does it in a way that's kind of stylized. You get Arnold Schwarzenegger in his opening shot where he's holding a tree and a chainsaw. What a glorious opening shot of a character.
Literally, it's like a tree trunk he's got. It's not a log. It's like a half a tree.
It's like an actual tree that he cut down. I don't know what he's going to do with this tree, but he's holding a tree and a chainsaw, and
I think James Horner did the music too.
He did do the music,
and it's so addicting. I sometimes will listen to that music when I'm working out. And granted, I don't work out that much. You wouldn't know what to look at me, but you'd think I would work out every day. But when I do, I listen to James Horner, God rest his soul, because he was so great. He just died a few months ago.
Yes.
But James Horner was a god, and that's one of my favorite soundtracks. It's just the music. I don't know instruments, but it's so good.
Well, what's so interesting about that score is that it's kind of like, and it uses a lot of that. Not quite Caribbean. I guess it's sort of Caribbean influence, right?
Yeah.
There's like
there's no reason for it to sound Caribbean, but it's so
but it really works somehow. I don't know why.
Works amazingly.
It really works in that movie. I kind of like the steel drum sound.
Steel drum.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of. I was going to say like tambourine or something. I don't know.
Yes.
I have no idea. I am
Schwarzenegger
not. I didn't go to gym class and I didn't have a music class. What do you want from me?
I had a music class in the 80s, but I played the cello.
Yeah. I play the snare drum. I don't know. I just like saying snare drum. Commando. I tell you, Michael, I'm surprised I didn't put that on my... listen, I did this list months ago when we were planning on recording this, and I'm just looking at like, who was this guy who made this list months ago? The list is great, but I didn't list Commando? I mean, come on. It literally is Terminator and Commando are my two favorite Schwarzenegger films. And Commando... is like you say, so much fun. And who plays his daughter in that?
That was Alyssa Milano.
Alyssa Milano. What a cutie pie.
Yeah.
So good. Now, if they kidnapped her, she'd be on her phone texting Dad. He'd have to trace the cell. So you can't do Commando today.
They'll try, of course.
I think you can. Just Schwarzenegger and the way you never believe that's his daughter. How are you, honey? I was just outside. They cut the trees down. She's like, Daddy, I made you lemonade. It's ridiculous, but it's just with Schwarzenegger. I love it. I eat up Schwarzenegger movies like from the 80s, and that's just the best. I love Commando.
Yeah, this is too much fun for me. It's just so much fun. It was like, what's his character's name in that movie? Matrix? John Matrix or something? Yeah.
Hold on, I'm searching now. It was actually Tommy Wiseau. Hold on.
Johnny.
I'm just kidding. Schwarzenegger's name in the movie was John. You're right, John Matrix.
John Matrix.
All right, you had Ray Don Chong in that movie.
Ray Don Chong. It was an interesting pairing of those two. I don't think there is a romance between the two, but maybe they could have hinted at that.
Sure, I would have gone for it. Listen,
gone off on the boat together.
Yeah, well, if you could go with Alyssa Milano as his daughter, I think you could go with Ray Don Chong as his lover in the film.
Why not? The Sherman Oaks Galleria is that mall that he tears apart.
I was just there the other night, and I said, this is where they shot Commando.
Nice. Trivia-wise, Nick Nolte was the first choice to play Matrix.
Oh.
And
I was just outside carrying a tree. That's the worst Nick Nolte. And by the way, my Schwarzenegger's not much better.
Apparently, the screenwriter had Gene Simmons in mind when he wrote the character, which is interesting to think of. I can't.
He would have picked up the tree with his tongue.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I'm talking about Nick Nolte.
Oh yeah. He much like him, he would need this bottle of booze that's in my hand. So.
Oh my gosh, amazing! You know what? This is on a side note. I love Runaway with Gene Simmons. That movie. I love Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons together in a film. But anyway, that's another day. But yes, Commando, amazing. I love it.
It opened the same day as Jagged Edge, and they both actually ended up becoming hits. Jagged Edge made about $40 million, whereas Commando only made $34 million. So it's interesting how an action movie can get beat out by like a kind of more of a somber movie like Jagged Edge, which I also thought was pretty good. But
did Robert Loggia get a nomination for that?
I think he did.
Yeah,
I like Robert Loggia. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
He screams a lot in movies. I like that.
I did an episode of Men of a Certain Age, and he played Ray Romano's dad on that show.
Did he?
And I remember, poor guy, he had to put. He wrote his lines out. We were shooting a scene in a truck, and he's put his lines out on paper and just taped them to the dashboard. And I ran lines with him, and I said, hey, I work with Tom Hanks from time to time. And he goes, he's my boy. He goes, and he was like, he got an Oscar nomination or something like. I think Tom won a Golden Globe for Big. I'm getting to the point, by the way, Michael. And I said, he goes, do you know what my nomination was for? And I said, Jagged Edge. He goes, do you know my last line in the movie? And he was so proud of that. And I honestly did not know his last line in the movie. Do you?
No, I don't. But that's a pretty good Robert Loggia impression.
Last line in the movie.
Really?
I also remember asking him, I said, hey, I used to be a tour guide at Universal. I used to have lunch on the steps of the Psycho House. And he said, kid, I was making movies on that lot before you were born. He goes, and I said, Psycho 2, I loved it. He goes, did I do that? I said, yeah. He goes, oh yeah, the knife. Remember the knife? I said, yeah, because he gets killed with a knife in it. I love Robert Loggia, man. He's just a character. He's amazing. He's great. One of the greatest character actors ever. The man's done 1 billion movies.
Definitely a character.
Remember him in Over the Top?
Oh yes, of course. Get Over the Top.
Another classic. Anyway, sorry, I rambled on with a story, Michael.
No. I was just looking over some of the trivia. Apparently, that opening intro of Schwarzenegger, where he introduces him with the log and with the tree and the chainsaw, was purposely edited to imitate Leni Riefenstahl's Nazi propaganda films.
Damn.
And to emphasize the idea of an invincible man emerging from a forest.
When I was a kid, awesome. when I was 12 or 13 when I saw that, I thought exactly that was ripping that off.
Totally,
So, yes.
Riefenstahl.
Yeah, I knew that was Lippenstein's ripoff of Lippenstein. Whoever you just said, I knew that.
Commando. I raise my glass of scotch to you. Thank you.
By the way,
many
I am Commando
years
right now.
often
Going Commando.
We're going
TMI.
We're going Commando for this episode for you guys.
There you go. Yes, but we're in different parts of California, just so you know.
It's all for you guys.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on
I'm actually
quickly.
carrying a tree in one hand for you guys too. I've been holding it up this whole time.
I won't touch that one. All right, so moving on to your number 9. Here we go.
This is ridiculous.
Something moved in next door that isn't human.
They did kill a girl over there.
It's horrifying. It's unspeakably evil. And now it knows that you know. Fright Night. If you love being scared, it'll be the night of your life. Rated R. Sneak preview Friday night. Check newspapers for theaters.
Welcome to Fright Night. Oh my God, I brought up Fright Night earlier, and I think I said that Lost Boys was in front of it. It is, and there's another movie that's in front of it too, but I do love Fright Night more than you can know, more than anybody should know. Fright Night to me is just so much freaking fun. I love Peter Vincent Vampire Killer, played by the great Roddy McDowell, and I love the whole cast of Fright Night. Is just so much fun. Everybody's having a blast. Amanda Beers is in it from Married with Children. She played Marcy Darcy on that show. She's great as the girlfriend in the movie, and you have just the whole cast. You guys, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you've seen the movie. Why am I telling you who's in it? Fright Night. It's a vampire movie. It's fun. It's got like what is his Chris Sarandon that plays the head vampire. What is Jerry Dandridge? What is his aide there? His buddy? Is he a zombie? I never knew. He just kind of melts at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. I assumed he was kind of like.
Well, fuck it. It's got zombies.
Vampire, but maybe yeah.
It's got zombies in it, Michael. It's got breasts. The whole movie is just a blast. I keep saying a blast, but it's true. Fright Night, so much fun. The most fun you'll ever have being scared. And by the way, I collect movie posters. That is my favorite, one of my top 10 favorite movie posters of all time with the vampire ghosts, which are not in the movie, coming out of the house. It's just a beautiful poster, and it's just so... It captures the fun of the film. Just a great movie with a fun score, and I could watch Fright Night on a loop. I know it word for word. It's so 80s, so retro, so cool.
You guys have probably heard
so cool, Brewster.
You guys have probably heard me talk about Fright Night a bunch of times, so I'll be brief. Fright Night is definitely a classic, and I love Fright Night. I think it's the best vampire. I mean, I love the Lost Boys too. They're the two best vampires in movies of the 80s. They're also kind of different too. I think Fright Night is a bit more classy than the Lost Boys. And Lost Boys is definitely a bit more of its time. Yeah. So I really appreciate the 80s had that kind of that for me. It had the classy example of the vampire story and the very modern slick vampire story. And I go back to this movie time and time again because you just get a lot of entertainment out of it. There's, I guess, it's really a loving homage to old horror movies by Tom Holland. He's a great director. Like we mentioned Child's Play earlier, and he does the same thing in that one too. He really understands how horror movies work and how scares should work, but he also understands that you really have to care about the characters. It's a big problem with horror movies today where you just don't really care about the characters, or the drama is just too fake or forced or phony. And it's not at all in his movies. It's just so natural. I mean, the actors, he hires really good actors to do, and they all do a really good job and portraying these characters. And I mean, iconic, these two characters. Both
Peter Vincent and Charlie Brewster.
And Charlie Brewster, yes. They're just,
I did not have to look that up. That's off the top of my head, Michael.
And, you just love these two guys together. And, of course, they had a sequel later on, and I like the sequel, definitely.
And Evil Ed.
An Evil Ed, right, played by Stephen Jeffries.
Oh, it's got a werewolf in it too, because he turns into a pit bull at the end or something. Mistake. It's got animals, zombies, breasts, and vampires. What more could you want?
Got everything you need in one movie. It really does. I mean, there's so much entertainment value in this movie, and it's done so well, and I just love it so much. And you guys know that already if you listen to this podcast. So that's me rambling on about it just briefly, but. I'm glad you picked it because it's such a good film and it really deserves to be on this list. So thank you. And let's move on to your number 8.
What about your number 8?
Oh, my number 9. Right
9. Now. What about your number 9?
That's right. And let's move on to my number 9. Here's the trailer.
Dear Mom, it was another predictable year at college.
Hi.
Same faces.
Hi. Hey, when did you get back?
Same classes. Then I met Dr. Harry Walper.
Introduction to the big picture.
That's it?
It's very big.
He's not your run-of-the-mill Nobel Prize winner. You see, Harry's been pointing out the important things in life. Now I'm learning about rejuvenating late wives.
Since she died 30 years ago, I've been cultivating her cells.
I'd like to get back on the registration line. Experimenting with new subjects. And I'm meeting some interesting people.
I'm Melly, Dr. Wilper's 19-year-old nymphomaniac.
What are you up to, Harry? Unfortunately, the university doesn't agree with Harry's techniques. Especially Sid Kuhlenbeck.
We shall be putting out another load on Friday, Sid. I'll try to leave something incriminating for you.
He's a lunatic. Took all our lab equipment without any authorization.
So Harry and I have been forced to do battle. On every front. All we want to do is unravel the world's mysteries. Look, I know what you're thinking.
It's probably illegal, potentially dangerous, and definitely crazy.
But at least I'm in college. Life's a little less predictable. And Harry's just crazy enough to teach me everything. You know what I want more than anything in the world, Harry?
What?
I want to be like you.
I'm not sure that the planet Earth is ready for two of me.
Peter O'Toole, Vincent Spano, Mariel Hemingway, and Virginia Madsen, creator.
Sounds like fun.
All right, so this is a movie that I'm not sure what people think of. This is a movie that is very sentimental, and I think it will probably alienate people, especially people who are into horror movies, and because it's not a horror movie at all. It's a comedy. It's kind of a buddy story. It's about a teacher who takes this young guy under his wing, a student under his wing, so he could use him as first for work, but then they become really good friends, and he's trying to regrow his dead wife in his chemistry in his laboratory.
I've seen this once. He's trying to regrow her.
He's trying to regrow his dead wife by using her I guess her cells, her dead cells, her egg. I don't know.
Awesome. And he combines it with and makes a Spinosaur.
Yeah, exactly. And then Jurassic Park was created later on. This is the early origins of Jurassic Park, guys. It's also released by Universal Pictures. I don't know. It's a story about Peter O'Toole plays the professor, and Vincent Spano plays the student who's kind of desperate to get into to this guy's class, and then he's also desperate to get into Virginia Madsen.
Hemingway's pants.
Virginia Madsen. So
is it Mariel Hemingway or Virginia Madsen?
Both of them are in this movie, and both of them are topless in this movie at some point. So everyone should go see this movie. Everyone should watch Creator for many reasons. I don't know. It's like I said, it's very sentimental. The music is that very 80s kind of heavy on the synth and
the snare drums.
No snare drums in this one. That would be pretty fun too. It has that kind of like another movie we're going to talk about later also uses that kind of music. Saint Almost Fire. That kind of score, and I those kinds of scores that I didn't like when I was younger, but now I just love.
See, we took them for granted. We took the 80s for granted. We thought movies were going to be like this forever.
We did.
But they clearly are not. Now we get movies like the Pom Pom Girls or whatever the hell you were talking about earlier.
Final Girls, right?
Final Girls, whatever.
Mariel Hemingway, I think, is really good as this girl who's who kind of almost the love interest for Peter O'Toole. And
Did you say Old Tool?
Old Tool.
That's not very nice. The man is dead.
I was trying to say Old Tool, but
you said Old Tool.
It came out as Old Tool. That's probably the Scotch talking already.
Poor guy.
I love Peter.
I don't mean him. You.
Yeah, me. Yeah, exactly. I love Peter O'Toole, of course, from my favorite year and this movie. He was definitely overlooked for any kind of awards this year for this movie. I think he's great in this movie. It's a very California movie. I think it was shot in Santa Cruz and San Jose and up in Northern California. And I like the look of the movie. And it was directed by Ivan Passer, who also made a great movie from the late 70s or early 80s called Cutter's Way.
With Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, great movie. It's a really underrated movie, and I think I initially liked this movie because Virginia Madsen's in it. Like I mentioned again, because I love Virginia Madsen and watched everything.
And she's topless.
She's
got to work with Old Tool.
Old Tool.
Sorry, just funny.
And
have another Scotch, please. We're only on number 8.
Because because it wasn't a big hit at the box office, it made like $4.5 million, and just kind of disappeared. But then it showed up on cable and home video, and that's kind of where I discovered it. So I just really enjoyed it, and I really think it holds up. And if it makes me a sentimental fool, well, so be it. I enjoy it. Have you seen it? You seen it one time, right? You haven't seen it.
I did. I was just telling you while the trailer was on. It is a movie that I saw years ago. I had the DVD, funny enough, and I'm anything 80s. In fact, if I could just take the DeLorean, I wouldn't go in the future and see old me. I can see that right now in the mirror. I'd go back in the 80s and watch all these movies in the theater. I live in the past. I love Creator. I thought it was great. I don't remember the specifics of it because obviously you've seen it more. But it's a movie that I totally would love to revisit next month because Halloween will be over and I'll be done watching horror movies. But I'd love to watch it again because I like Vincent Spano. I grew up watching the Black Stallion movies. He was in the Black Stallion Returns. And who doesn't want to see breasts? So, boom. I'm such a perv in this podcast. And I love Peter.
It's all the grapes you've had, of course.
Oh, my God.
Water.
Yeah. Peter O'Toole is great, and I'm a fan of his work. And in fact, one of my all-time favorite movies is My Favorite Year. So he definitely can in that film particularly, he can display that sense of drama and comedy. He could do it all. And I'd love to revisit Creator. So thank you. I'm writing that down right now. So awesome.
All right. Let's move on to our number 8, and here is. Get to it. I made this list too far away from each other.
Yeah.
All right, here's the trailer for your number 8. Here we go.
They only come out at night. They're mean, rude, and dead. Not them. Them.
There's 100 of those things out there.
How many did you say?
100.
The dead are refusing to remain buried.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're gonna call the boss.
They've come back to life. They're hungry. And they're not vegetarians.
The graveyard out there's full of people coming out of the ground.
We have a little problem.
What the hell is going on there?
Rabid weasels.
What?
More brains.
Do you want a party? It's party time. We got a party. It's party time. Do you want a party?
They're back from the grave and ready to party.
It's party time.
The return of the living dead.
Michael, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you want a party? Because it's party time, Michael. I love Return of the Living Dead. Are you kidding me? I mean, oh my gosh, it is my favorite zombie movie of all time. Yes, above Night of the Living Dead. Above Dawn of the Dead, above Diary of the Dead, above The Walking Dead, above Shaun of the Dead, above Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, above all those zombie movies. I love Return of the Living Dead. You know why? Because I wasn't a big horror kid when I was a kid. I remember going to the movies to see this with my buddy Chris Curtis. because his mom worked at the movie theater. We got in for free. And I didn't have a car, so we can go to R-rated movies even before we were 16 or 17, rather. And I got on my bicycle and rode across town to the Binghamton Plaza Cinemas and saw Return of the Living Dead. It scared the shit out of me because I had to ride home in the dark on my bicycle. And luckily I didn't have brains, so I knew I was half safe. Return of the Living Dead, to me, it's one of those movies I can pop in and just remember that fateful night when I was riding home alone on my bicycle. And it's just one of those movies. And, I go to the New Beverly Cinema here. It's owned by Quentin Tarantino. It's the Revival House here. They only show 35 millimeter. And once in a while, I'll go to the theater there to see a movie, and Clu Gulager is always in the front row. They have a special seat for him. I think we talked about this on the last podcast. And he was one of the leads in Return of the Living Dead. So it's just always fun to see him. And I love the movie. And what else can I say? It's my favorite zombie film.
I really enjoy this movie. I actually... When it came out, I think I didn't see it in the theater. I think I saw it on video. It didn't really penetrate as much as it should have. I think then I don't know why. I think I ended up liking the sequel more, which is like total blasphemy to think of.
What's wrong with you? You're a Peter O'Toole.
Exactly. And I don't know what I was drinking. It wasn't that stuff that was
now. You should go back and rewatch Return of the Living Dead. Now, have you seen it? When's the last time?
Oh no, I've seen it. I've seen it a bunch of times since then, and I've grown to love this movie. I think it's so much fun, and like you said, the ultimate party movie because it's crazy. It's out there. It's all the zombie stuff that you want. But it's a great mix of like horror and comedy, which is so hard to pull off. This is our second horror comedy on this list, by the way. Fright Night is a genuine horror comedy, and it's such a hard thing to pull off.
Great double feature.
And so many movies these days really try to do the horror comedy thing, and they just do it so badly.
Like the Pom Pom Girls.
Yeah, like the Final Girls and Pom Pom Girls, and I also watched that Tales of Halloween.
Oh, okay. Can I be? Listen, I'm not trying to diss anybody's work or anybody's actor's work or directors. And I know it's very hard to get a movie made, and I understand all that. Yeah. I could not get past the first 15 minutes of that film.
Yeah, just there's like the stories that work and some that really don't work.
Really did not work, which lessens the stories that worked. And I said, I can't devote any more time to this. Yeah. In fact, I watched it on the same night that I watched the Scare Girls.
Yeah, just that the comedy is that they try too hard with the comedy, and it just doesn't work. These movies, like, there's a lot of outlandish comedy in Return of the Living Dead, but I guess maybe because it's just performed better and just done well. I mean, you had Dan O'Bannon make this movie, and he's a guy who's co-responsible for doing Alien, that little movie, and just really and Dead and Buried, which was a great movie. So he has a real interesting sense of humor, and it really comes across in this movie. And I like that it goes from comedy, it shifts from comedy to horror back and forth.
But the horror is scary too.
It is scary. Yeah,
it's scary. It's scary, and when it's funny, it's funny. But look at the practical effects. I'm a huge advocate for practical effects, and you got that nude body running around trying to kill people. They're sawing it in half. You got the cut in half dogs. Mm-hmm. You got the zombies coming out of the grave. It's just so much fun to watch, even especially now, watching what they could do and what they had to come up with. And in the rain, it's like raining at the toxic rain, and watching the corpses come on. They're slimy, they're gross, and they're attacking that naked chick. It's again a naked chick. It's a blast. I got to come up with another word.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, and they didn't have the budgets that they do now. I mean, even in the movies that these days that don't have like huge budgets, they just really try to cram in a lot of effects that really don't work, and just to jazz it up. And this movie just uses a lot of great practical effects.
Like Halloween. Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis said in the commentary tonight, there wasn't a huge budget, but you could be creative and look what they could do. You give somebody a big budget, and then you 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't be as good as if you had a small budget. You had to be creative.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even Romero himself, the movies he made later in his career, the zombie movies he made later on, he just started foregoing like practical effects for like CGI kills because it's just easier to do and
quicker. The blood cleans up quicker, but it doesn't. Yeah. You don't get that effect.
Yeah, you just don't get the same effect. You really want to see what's happening in camera, And Return of the Living Dead is definitely one of the best examples of zombie movies of the 80s, and it's a lot of fun, a total party, and I love it.
And just for everybody to know, if you haven't seen Return of the Living Dead Part 2, it is not better than Part 1. There's nothing about it that's scary. Basically, it's a lampoon of Return of the Living Dead, which in itself was a comedy.
Yeah,
so,
it definitely takes the comedy up a few notches in part 2.
Yeah, well, they have Michael Jackson running around as the Thriller zombie in one scene. That's how lampoony. I'm not dissing it a little. I guess I am, but it's good. It's not great. I just watched it last week, and I really enjoy Return of the Living Dead 2 for what it is, but it's not Part 1.
Yeah, it's definitely just a way to cash in on the title, but
so your opinion is wrong, Michael.
It was definitely wrong. I mean, my opinion usually holds up, but not wrong.
Thank you. I'm glad I could call out the weakness in your system.
Here is I'm doing a double feature for number 8, so I'll try to do these quickly. I'm going to call it the High School Hell double feature, or better yet, I'm going to call it the Spader double feature, and you'll find out in a bit why. Here's the trailer for the first one.
He's new in town, and nothing belongs to him. Not the music.
Where's he from?
Not the school.
Whoa.
Not the girl.
Things you don't understand.
Then enlighten me.
If I ever catch you near Frankie again, I'll take you out so fast.
To get what he wants. Morgan Hill is going to take this town apart. Tough Turf. Rated R. Now playing in selected cities at a theater near you.
Tough Turf. I think I've mentioned this. I'm sure I've mentioned this movie. This movie on the podcast before. I love this movie. I love those juvenile delinquent movies of the 50s and how silly and melodramatic they are. And this takes the 50s juvenile delinquent movie and moves it squarely into the 80s. This is so 80s, and you have James Spader as the new kid in school who has like a troubled past, and he likes the girl with the really long hair. What's her name? Kim Richards, and who was in who was she in? She was in something. Oh, the Witch Mountain movies, of course, and he immediately likes her, and then of course her boyfriend is our brother is the bad guy, and he's like hurting people, and he's just a menace, and they don't get it. They don't get along very well, and just becomes like a whole fight to the finish at the end. They're constantly beating up on him in school and trashing his bike and just making his life hell. And so James Spader has to just take matters in his own hands, and with the aid of Robert Downey Jr. and some other people, they get to really have a battle at the end with in a warehouse, which I love in 80s movies. The big battle at the end in the warehouse, love that. The Tough Turf is a New World Pictures movie, and they definitely had this kind of brand of action movies in the 80s, which is kind of silly, low budget stuff, but then they let directors kind of add their own personalities to it, and I like that this movie has a lot of personality in it. You have the Jim Carroll band playing in it, and again, like I mentioned, Robert Downey Jr. adding a lot to his character, and James Spader just being really cool, and just a lot of fun. Have you seen it anytime recently?
Oh my God, I saw it in the theater. It was one of those movies where my friend Chris Curtis's mom got us in for free. It's like this theater played the cheesiest 80s movies. That's what I love about it. We always thought that movies were made for the Cameo Theater, and Tough Turf was one of them. Another one was Lone Wolf McQuade, but that's another podcast. I love Tough Turf. It's so much fun, and like you said, the big fight in the warehouse, and the bullies there bullies in those movies they're not bullies. They're like criminal, bad, like murdering bullies.
Totally, yes. They kill people. They like
in Christine, they were like evil. They were just like bullies. They were evil.
Evil, Russ.
Evil. There's not much more I can say about Tough Turf than good choice, Michael.
And we can't forget James Spader, who's like this, this tough guy in school who kind of comes from a once waspy kind of Connecticut family who are down their luck, and they have to move to tough LA.
Yeah,
that's where you go from after
Tough Turf.
Tough Turf, right? You can't make it in Connecticut, so you go to LA, East LA, or whatever bad part of LA this is supposed to be, and they're getting into a lot of trouble. I think it's just kind of interesting how it did go from one end of the spectrum of social economics to the other in the movie. So the movie is commenting on some things in its own silly way. I like it. The 80s was a crazy time, and you had a lot of movies which dealt with just gangs, and I just had a lot of fun with this one. It always sticks with me because Spader is awesome. This movie opened up against Avenging Angel, which opened the same day.
Oh my gosh.
Also a New World movie. Very much cut from the same kind of cloth. So you get two New World movies on the same day. I'm pretty sure I saw both of these in the theater, which was good times for me. Around the same time, you had Hot Moves, and then Blood Simple came out around the same time, and Escape from the Bronx, and another movie which is coming up next, part of our double feature. Here is the trailer for it.
They are brother and sister alone.
Man said Mac and Mom are dead. Killed in a car crash.
On their own. Without parents. Without friends. Trying to make it in a new town.
Something bothering you, cousin? No. Nothing ever bothers me.
Facing a dangerous new enemy.
Yeah, I can get it.
Says who?
Says me and $50.
A gang that will stop at nothing to add one new word to their lives. Terror.
You think we ought to light ourselves a little fire?
You want crazy? Well, I'll show you crazy.
From the director of the original Friday the 13th comes a new ticket to terror. Striking Back.
You want crazy? Well, I'll show you crazy.
Okay, so that was the trailer for Striking Back. Now, what is Striking Back?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you.
What is that? That's the New Kids. The New Kids from Columbia Pictures, which was, I guess this trailer was a foreign trailer. I'm not sure what I dug up, but I think this title might have been, this movie had been retitled to Striking Back, strangely enough, by Columbia Pictures. Sean Cunningham, who did Friday the 13th, made this movie about...
Whoa. Is this called The New Kids as well, you just said?
The New Kids, yes.
Oh, I know this movie then.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. It's got James Spader in it.
James Spader, double feature.
Did I ruin the surprise for you?
No, I mean, guys, you know what we were talking about with the Spader.
Sorry, feature. I was half listening because I was looking it up because I can't believe I hadn't heard of this movie, but now I know what it is.
You have two kids whose parents suddenly die. One of them was Tom Atkins, and he's like a tough military guy, and him and his wife dies unexpectedly, and the kids kind of get relocated to Florida. And what happens when this is another movie where you relocate to a bad area, and then of course you get into trouble.
But they live in a carnival.
That's right. You move to Florida to live in a carnival, and you attract really bad people. In this case, you attract the evil James Spader. So James Spader gets to play evil in this one.
He's bullied in Tough Turf, but he's the bully in New Kids.
And he's quite the bully in the New Kids, I gotta say.
I love Kids.
He's so crazy. He looks near albino in this movie with his really blonde hair and bleach blonde eyebrows. I don't know what he did to his look in this movie, but he takes like his character in Pretty in Pink, who's kind of a bully, and to another level. It's so crazy and out there, and he has the hots for Lori Loughlin, and she's like,
who didn't have the hots for Lori Loughlin?
Yeah, exactly. And she kind of spurns his advances, and that pisses him off, and then he just kind of starts picking on these two kids, her and her brother, and don't
pick on them, James Spader. Don't pick on Lori.
I know
Loughlin.
they just lost Tom Atkins as their dad.
Atkins.
Yeah, and then
you're
picking on them.
They live in a carnival.
Yeah. And I love the stuff in that amusement park. I just love amusement parks.
It's fun.
Yeah. Another 1985 movie, Breaking All the Rules. Canadian carnival or amusement park movie, fun movie. Just throwing that out there.
I didn't know. I got to look at that one. But I'm looking at the poster for The New Kids, and I was always confused. Is it a horror movie? Because it says a new ticket to terror from the director of Friday the 13th. Is that just them trying to market it so people go?
I think that's maybe why there's two. That is why the Striking Back movie is more the revenge movie, and The New Kids is marketed as the horror slasher movie, which it wasn't.
Crazy.
Although it is kind of horrific, though. I mean, Spader and his crew are pretty evil, like much like the crew from Tough Turf. They're even actually a bit more evil in this movie. They really take things too far, and they have dogs that they mistreat and use to attack people. It's just terrible. But it definitely makes you think twice about moving to Florida. I had a bit of Florida phobia for many years after watching this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This movie affected you? What about? Could you go to carnivals? Did you freak out, or did you sit in the car while everybody rode?
Carnivals, fine.
Okay.
Because I was in carnivals like in New York, which was fine, but going into like places that are like a little uncharted, into Florida, other than like say Orlando, like places.
No Gatorland for you.
Places where go a bit further away from all I know of civilization, just scared me a bit, and I had a bit I had Cajun phobia. And I had a bit of a Florida phobia growing up because of these movies that scared the hell out of me.
I was afraid of zombies as a kid after Return of the Living Dead, but I never had to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
You watched Real Life Tough Turfs, so does that even make sense? Who's really drinking here? I did not know it was called Strike. Is it Striking or Strike Back? I didn't know it had another title.
Striking Back. Yeah, I think really it's now definitely more known as The New Kids. So.
Interesting.
And it bombed in theaters. I don't think Columbia Pictures really wanted to market this movie all that much. I don't know if they didn't know what to do with it. They dumped it in January along with Tough Turf. It was the week apart. Tough Turf came out January 11th of '85, and this one came out January 18th. And it made just under $200,000 at the box office. So really, they just really didn't know what to do with it, and just like let it sit there, and didn't really market it. I don't remember seeing that many trailers for it or any. And because the misleading poster, of course, pissed off people who were expecting a straight up horror movie. But
seriously,
yeah. But it's a great movie, and I had to include it here because I love this. I love that the kids use their skills that Tom Atkins taught them to like fight back, and they band together to like stop these bullies.
Stop the albinos.
Got to stop the killer albinos. All right, so that was The New Kids. Now let's take a break.
Michael, can I interject something really quick? We touched earlier on the last line, the famous line from Robert Loggia. I just wanted to. I need to complete this. It's a. You know what I mean? His last line in Jagged Edge was "Fuck him, he was trash." That was the last line of the movie. I just wanted to get that out.
That's a pretty glorious last line of a movie.
Yeah, he's very proud of that line.
Gotta say,
I would be too.
He's still with us, right?
Oh, he is. I see. You know where I see him? I see Robert Loggia at autograph conventions and signings. He's there, and he's got a handler, and they all do. All the celebrities there, and they signs pictures and meets the fans. I think it's kind of nice.
That's awesome. Love it.
Robert Loggia.
All right, so let's take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back right after this. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that song. It's a movie we'll be talking about soon enough. Here is the TV spot for a movie that I've never heard of before.
He doesn't know it yet, but he's about to become the world's first time traveler.
This is nuts.
Back to when his mother was a teenager looking for love.
It's an absolute dream.
Whoa, this is heavy.
Back to when his father needed a little push.
I'm your density. It was a wonder I was even born.
Meet Marty McFly, the first kid ever to get into trouble before he was even born. Steven Spielberg presents a Robert Zemeckis film, Back to the Future. Rated PG. Now at select theaters. Check newspapers.
Oh my God. Michael, I got one word for you. The Libyans. I love Back to
the lesbians? What?
No, the Libyans, Michael.
Okay.
I think they just redubbed it. Wait, who's this? I'm literally just drinking water. Let's just keep moving on. Back to the Future. A lot of you are probably wondering why this isn't further up on the list. You should hear the other titles that I love that are further up on the list. There's just so many movies in this particular year. It's just I like even during the break, I was finagling my list because I love these movies so much. I want to make them all number one. Mm-hmm. But I love Back to the Future. It's got a comedy, action, drama, science fiction, fantasy. It's got everything but breasts. But anyway, I digress. Back to the Future is so much fun. Robert Zemeckis, of course, directed it. It wasn't. It would not have been made if Robert Zemeckis didn't go and do Romancing the Stone first. They let him go off because a few of his other movies, I guess, weren't as popular. So he went off to make Romancing the Stone. It became a huge hit. That is my all-time favorite Robert Zemeckis movie. And then they said, go ahead, make Back to the Future. So you can thank Romancing the Stone for that. Great film, great cast. I'm sure you all know that Michael J. Fox was the original choice. Of course, he was tied up with family ties. I didn't mean to do that. No pun intended. And then Eric Stoltz was brought in. And
star of The New Kids. Or
The Mask. And The Mask.
And The Mask, all from 85.
That's right. And they shot for about 4 weeks with him, because they were waiting for Michael to be done, and I hear conflicting stories. I think Steven Spielberg the producer of that film, had to wait till they had enough footage to show the studio, and I think I heard that I don't know. There was I just hear conflicting stories, but all in all, what eventually happened, and every actor's nightmare is he got let go 4 weeks into shooting, and Michael J. Fox took over, and this is we have Marty McFly that we have today, and Michael J. Fox is perfect as Marty McFly. I think he's more known for Back to the Future than he was for Family Ties. He was huge back in the 80s. Michael J. Fox was the thing, and he's fantastic. Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd, you got Leah Thompson. It's basically a movie about your mom falls in love with you. So it's an awkward premise, isn't it? It's a little strange. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it'd float today. I hear that Bob Gale, who wrote it and produced it and with Zemeckis, went to Disney Studios to see if they could sell it to them. And the executive at Disney says, we can't do this movie. This is... it's about incest. We're Disney. We don't make these types of movies. Take it somewhere else. And of course, they took it to Universal, and the rest is history. Back to the Future, a great film, a lot of fun, great music. Huey Lewis, who makes a cameo in the movie. I mean, why am I telling you about Back to the Future? Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm just telling a little backstory. But anyway, wonderful film.
It's so funny how iconic this movie has become. It was such a big hit, of course, in the 80s, and everyone has seen Back to the Future. It's like the one movie, probably the one movie on this list that everyone has probably seen.
You say Bassett to the Future, a dog version of this? That's a great idea. Talking dogs who time travel. Michael, you have movie ideas left and right.
Mm-hmm. Talking... Yeah.
Go ahead.
I never looked at this movie as the ultimate incest movie. I guess it is. The biggest hit about incest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so iconic. It's fun. There's scenes that this movie that you just kind of really stick with you for years. I love this movie. I love everything about it. I don't love that it doesn't have breasts. What can you do? I'm not sure I love the whole stuff with Michael J. Fox playing the guitar. I don't know. It just seemed a little like because he was dubbed by somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. His singing too.
He literally. By the way, I know
that always took me out of the movie, but yeah.
Well, to me, that's the only part. Okay,
That's the only part.
I'm going to try and make this sound like it makes sense to anybody else. Like Star Wars, which I love, the end of the movie, the whole attack scene on the Death Star, it's a little long for me now. It's like, all right, just get to it. The whole scene with him and the guitar thing and everything, it's a little long for me, though. This is the only two things when I go to watch Star Wars or Back to the Future, I'm like, oh, I got to sit through the whole Enchantment Under the Sea dance. Or I got to sit through the attack on the Death Star. As much as I love these films, those are the only movies that if I put this in, then I got to fast forward. Mm-hmm. But anyway, does that make sense?
Yeah, minor quibbles about movies that we love and.
I just got back. You know, I host from time to time for a website called Beyond the Marquee, and we go to Bob Gale, the producer, writer's house, all the time. So this is how I know all this Back to the Future trivia. And I literally just got back a couple of nights ago from the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, because this whole week is the week from part 2 where. I don't know. The Back to the Future fans really know this stuff. I like the movies a lot. I don't love them. I'm not like an uber fan, so I don't know them word for word. You give me Romancing the Stone, then you've got an uber fan. But they literally recreated the Enchantment Under the Sea at the actual church where they shot the movie, which is on Highland in Hollywood. So we went back there, and it was great. They literally recreated everything, and Leah Thompson was there. It was fun. I mean, those are really the fans of that movie are just. And God bless them, they're diehard fans. I'm a huge Raiders of the Lost Ark fan, so I'm the same way. I don't dress up, I don't do cosplay or anything. But it's amazing the fan base for Back to the Future. That's why I'm like, well, it's number 7. I'm almost apologetic. I'm like, I'm sorry it's not more up to the top.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great film. It really is.
It's a great film. It holds up. And
yeah.
My 3-year-old has watched some of the movie, and he's really into like clocks, and of course the movie opens up with all these clocks and the idea of time travel. He loves cars, so it's like the perfect movie for him.
Yeah, you know what I do love is the opening of the movie. It's just I love the Doc Brown as the camera pans along and you see Doc Brown's inventions, the dog food getting poured into the dog dish, which is already full.
Yeah.
And which shows that nobody's been there for a while, and all the clocks and the ticking and the chimes, and then you see the guitar pick, and then you see Michael J. Fox and he gets blown through the speaker. I love all that. There's not like a line of dialogue for a few minutes in that movie. No music. It's perfect.
My kid is obsessed with speakers because of this movie now too. It really left an effect out of it. Like that big speaker that he blows through, he got so scared when it happened. Like he did not expect him to fly back, and he thought it hurt him, and he just like he now can watch that scene, but he's obsessed with speakers. He just will point them out everywhere he goes, and just talks about speakers. It's kind of funny how Back to the Future has kind of touched him in a way. And let's talk about Crispin Glover quickly. He's awesome in this movie.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I think he's part of the reason I love this movie. I love that it's a teen movie too, because I love teen movies so much. I think he adds that kind of quirky touch to it that really makes it all kind of like gel together, because it has all these elements that are a bit more classic and in their examples, but he's kind of like this character is kind of a bit more out there, and his portrayal of that character just really makes it all more interesting.
Yeah, he's great in the film as McFly. He's great as the senior McFly. See, I should know his first name.
George McFly.
George, there you go. I want to say I love the films. I do. I love all of them. In fact, I got to be honest, Part 3 is my favorite. I love the Old West. I love the Old West. That movie to me was a blast. I mean, Part 3 is my favorite.
I'm not a fan of Part 3 because I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of westerns, so maybe that's probably what it is.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, one of my honorable mentions was Silverado, and I couldn't fit it on the list, and that's to me is my favorite western.
I'm trying to think of my favorite western.
Right behind Back to the Future 3.
Awesome. All right. So that was Back to the Future, and here is a TV spot from my number 7.
Mark never gave vampires much thought.
Hello, tall, dark, and handsome.
Until he became one.
Oh, wow, I love your outfits.
I'm not wearing a costume.
Now he's losing his girl,
It's like you're not the Mark I thought I knew. You look like Jerry Lewis.
his customers,
Get out of here!
and his mind.
I don't want to be a vampire. I'm a day person.
Nothing is sacred
How was it?
in a tasty comedy.
Delicious.
Once Bitten, rated PG-13.
Now playing at a theater near you.
Okay, Once Bitten. I've talked about this movie before in some ways. I really enjoy this movie. It's so much fun. Another, I guess you can say horror comedy. It's definitely much more of a comedy. Much more.
Let's call them homedies.
Comedies, yes. It's definitely more of a teen movie, I would say, than even horror. It just Jim Carrey, his first big role. Lauren Hutton as the vampire who's trying to seduce him so she could steal her virginity to make herself stay young. It has a really silly premise, but I don't know. This movie and another, I think, like Weird Science from '85. I just watched them over and over and over. I don't know why, because they appealed to, I guess, the real adolescent in me in 1985, and I don't know. I own it on Blu-ray now, and I think it still works. I think it's still funny. I think it's like actors doing a good job in playing these characters and just making the most out of the material and just making it really charming. I love 80s movies that are charming, and this is a charmer, and it's fun to see LA in the 80s. It's a very 80s LA movie, and you have montages left and right. You have great silly pop songs. You have a dance-off. You have just have so many fun elements in this movie that I just can watch over and over, and I do. I don't know why. What about it? Why Once Bitten? But I don't know. It just satisfies my need to watch guy getting bit by a pretty lady who wants to steal his virginity. I mean, who doesn't want to watch that?
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No, I know that Lauren Hutton has a gap in her teeth, though. Mm-hmm. That's all I know. But she was sexy, man.
She's a sexy guy.
Yeah. Jim Carrey, very unknown then. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I know it's on Blu-ray. I think it's on there with Love at First Bite. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong?
Yeah, Love at First Bite, which is another vampire comedy, and I really like that one too. I prefer Once Bitten. I think Once Bitten to me has more replay value. Okay. I'm not knocking Love at First Bite at all, because I think that's really fun and has a great dance scene in that one. But this one has a bit more of that 80s feel that I like, and I think originally the screenwriter tried to convince Samuel Goldwyn Jr., who just died, I think, this year, who produced this movie, to get Michael J. Fox to star in this movie, because that's what they envisioned. The screenwriter wrote Michael J. Fox in mind when he wrote the screenplay.
He was busy making Teen Wolf, baby.
Exactly. And but actually, Samuel Goldwyn didn't think that Michael J. Fox could carry a movie. Whoops. That was a big mistake. Yeah. The great Morgan Fairchild, who I talk about once in a while on this podcast, she turned down the role of the Countess. I'm glad it went to Lauren Hutton, because she has something, I don't know, a bit more mysterious than, say, Morgan Fairchild. There's something about her that I like. And Cleavon Little is hysterical. And he was in a Western, Cleavon Little.
He was in Back to the Future 3. No, what was he? He was in Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, and he was hilarious in that. I think he's hilarious in this movie. He's definitely a highlight in this movie for me. His character is playing this kind of very campy servant of the Countess, and his scenes just kind of crack me up, because he plays it so like campy but straight at the same time. And I just love him in this movie, and he's another actor who left us too early, and I think he was definitely someone who I really like. Karen Copins, she plays the girlfriend. She was also in Fast Forward, and she actually was in Creator as well, playing the dead wife that Peter Oldtool tries to regrow. Sorry, Peter. And she was also in True Beverly Hills. And
Beverly Hills.
It opened against Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer.
And it lost.
No, and lost, exactly. Right. Actually, it made like a healthy almost $10 million at the box office on a $3 million budget. So That's pretty good for Samuel Goldwyn and a little company that did put out little charming films like this. And also around the same time, White Knights came out, King Solomon's Mines, One Magic Christmas, Bad Medicine with Steve Guttenberg, who was in every movie in the 80s. The Goot was in every movie in the 80s. We love him.
Hanks was telling me, Mr. Hanks was telling me that he was always going up against Steve Guttenberg in auditions.
Oh, really?
Isn't that crazy?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
now I can see it if you think about it. Yeah, like the Police Academy series. Can you imagine Tom Hanks in the Police Academy series?
You totally see it, and because Tom Hanks was also in... He was in the movie we talked about in 1984.
Dragnet? No, that was 86.
No, he was in Bachelor Party, which was the guys who did Police Academy, right?
Did I already discuss this with you in another podcast?
We did. We talked about Bachelor Party.
Sorry, everybody.
No. We didn't talk... Actually, no, we didn't talk about that Tom Hanks was up against a lot of...
Oh, all right. Yeah, he was always not going up against, but they would often be, in competition for the same roles. I guess it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, fun little backstories.
But Once Bitten will always get a lot of replay value. So,
how is that compared to Vampire's Kiss with Nick Cage, which I haven't seen either?
I sort of liked Vampire's Kiss. It has kind of edgy humor to it that these movies don't have. But it doesn't really. It's not something I want to revisit. Really.
Okay. It's on Blu-ray with one of my favorite movies of the... Well, not one of the favorite of all time, but it just happens to be on the Blu-ray, and I enjoy the film High Spirits with the Goot.
With the Goot, of course.
And it just happens to be on there, so before I sit down and waste an hour and a half, will I be wasting an hour and a half?
It's definitely worth the watch, and Jennifer Beals is in that, and I like Jennifer Beals.
Flashdance.
Yeah, and so it's definitely worth a watch. I'm not sure how much I'd watch it, though, but... Yeah, I'm glad they didn't double feature it with Once Bitten because I feel like Once Bitten pairs much better with Love at First Bite because they're pretty silly movies and they're fun.
Thank you, Michael.
No problem. All right, so those were our number 7s. I'm going to read off some top 10 lists of some pals before we get into our number 6s. Here are a couple. Thank you guys for sending in your top 10 lists. I appreciate it. Chris Stanton, his number 10 is The Boys Next Door. His number 9 is A Chorus Line. His number 8 is Witness. His number 7 is Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. His number 6 is Return of the Living Dead. His number 5 is The Legend of Billie Jean. His number 4 is The New Kids. His number 3 is The Breakfast Club.
My number 4 is Striking Back.
Yeah. His number 2 is The Color Purple. And his number 1 is Mask, with honorable mentions going to Tampopo, My Life as a Dog, and After Hours.
Tampopo?
Thank you, Chris.
I want to add, I'm going to keep adding to my honorable mentions. The Color Purple should be on this list.
I like The Color Purple. I'm not
I love The Color Purple.
I'm not crazy. Because I saw it when I was a kid, and I just didn't really... I should see it again, probably.
You should.
Yeah.
Miss Seeley's in it.
It's not the right movie to see as a kid. I don't think you got to get I don't know any 10-year-olds that are like, oh, I'm a big Color Purple fan.
Your 3-year-old will love it. If he loved Bridge of Spies, he's going to love Color Purple. Just sit him in front of that, put a clock in his hand, and have him watch the movie.
Totally. Scott Plissken, his number 10 was A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Number 9, Cat's Eye. Number 8, Reanimator. Number 7, Return of the Living Dead. Number 6, View to a Kill. Number 5, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Ugh.
Number 4, Better Off Dead. Number 3, Back to the Future. Number 2, Day of the Dead. And number 1, Fright Night. So
wait, Reanimator was 85?
Reanimator.
That should be in my top 10. So, Michael,
we may be talking about it, so...
Yeah, listen, honorable mention.
All right. Cameron Perry. His number 10 is Fletch. His number 9 is Teen Wolf. His number 8 is Spies Like Us. His number 7 is Commando, or Going Commando, like we are. Number 6 is Rocky 4. His number 5 is Back to the Future.
Shit. Rocky 4 is 85?
Rocky 4 is 85.
Oh, my God. We need to stop this podcast and redo the whole thing. Have a tie, then, for number 6.
That's fine. That's totally
perfect.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right. Number 4, Rambo First Blood Part 2. Number 3, The Breakfast Club. Number 2, Return of the Living Dead. And number 1, Death Wish 3.
I love that film.
Which I love so much. I'm going to talk about eventually. His honorable mentions go to Invasion USA, Reanimator, Godzilla 1985, Friday the 13th Part 5, and Fright Night.
I have a question regarding the last person that you read the list. His last name is Pliskin?
Yeah, he's
his name?
I think he is. His name is homaging
Snake Plissken.
Snake Plissken, yes.
But it's not his real name.
No.
That's fucking great if that's his real name.
No, it's not.
All right, never mind. Continue, please.
On Twitter, Josh Gressett wrote in number 10, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, number 9, Reanimator, number 8, Return of the Living Dead, number 7, Back to the Future, number 6, Day of the Dead, number 5, Brewster's Millions, which is the first time someone's talked about that one.
I love it.
Number 4, Just One of the Guys. Number 3 is Clue. That's the first mention for that.
Wait, that was 85. Whoa. This is ridiculous.
Three-way tie for number... It's a three-way tie for number 6. Number 2, After Hours, and number 1, Purple Rose of Cairo. And I'm going to stop there before I give you more ideas for top 10s.
Jeez, you're killing me because now I've got like 17 number 4s.
Okay, so here's your first... Here's a trailer for your first number 6.
All right.
Roger Moore is James Bond 007. A View to a Kill. Title song by Duran Duran.
Starts Friday, May 24th at a theater near you. Check your local listings.
I think that... All right. So that would be A View to a Kill.
Yes.
It's my first number. That's 6A. You know, people say, who is your favorite Bond? And then they get pissed when I say Roger Moore. Because everyone thinks that Sean Connery is the James Bond. He's not my James Bond. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s. Roger Moore is the first Bond I've ever seen. So most of the movies in the theater with my dad. You know what I like about Roger Moore is he didn't take himself so seriously. He always kind of winked at the audience, and I liked that. He was kind of cool and suave, and he was the James Bond the Indiana Jones in a tuxedo. He was just cool. I remember I loved the Cannonball Run, and I love Burt Reynolds because Roger Moore's in it, but he played Roger Moore. Like Roger Moore's always James Bond. I always thought that was cool. The theme in Cannonball Run, whenever you see Roger Moore's the James Bond theme, I think only like a note was changed. They came very close to being sued, and I think Roger, after that film, after Cannonball Run, he could no longer wear tuxedos in any other films. He could only wear a tuxedo in a Bond movie. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard, and I think that came from an audio commentary from Cannonball Run. But back to A View to a Kill. That's the last movie with Roger. He was looking a little long in the tooth, but you know what? He's still Roger Moore. He's still got the 18-year-old girls. He was awesome. You got Grace Jones, who scared the shit out of me. She was just badass, and he gets in bed with her. I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna kill him in bed. And you listen. All you need is Christopher Walken as your bad guy, and it should be your number 1 James Bond movie. This is not a guilty pleasure for me. This is my favorite Bond. It's everybody's least favorite Bond. I can't figure that out. It's just as goofy as the other Bonds and as much fun as they are. I love A View to a Kill, and maybe I was just at the right age when I saw it, and a lot of it is nostalgia for me and memories of my childhood. And I don't know, A View to a Kill. I mean, the finale takes place on the Golden Gate Bridge. Is Tanya Roberts annoying? Yeah. Well, what can you do? She's
Tanya Roberts. So.
Oh, what's that?
But she's Tanya Roberts.
She's Tanya Roberts. She's Sheena. Yeah. I really enjoyed A View to a Kill, and Dolph Lundgren plays one of the henchmen in the film.
Holy cow!
And Alison Doody from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. She, the female lead in that film. She plays one of Grace Jones's sidekicks in there. Some nice. Did you know that, Michael?
I did not know that because
boom! Yeah. I can tell you something new. You taught me about Strike Back. I'll teach you about A View to a Kill, my favorite James Bond movie, and of course. How can you not have a Bond movie without Duran Duran? Well, you can have a Bond movie without Duran Duran, but this movie just just the Duran Duran music, that, you know, dance into the fire. It's great. I love it. A View to a Kill. This makes me happy.
I'm gonna blow your mind with this one. I am not a James Bond fan. So
sorry, you cut out. I can't. I lost you. What?
I am not a James Bond fan.
Okay, Michael. I think you just lost half your listeners.
right
now.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, you went on and on about Tough Turf, but you're not a James Bond fan.
It's so weird. I just didn't really watch these movies at all. Really, growing up, I just they were on TV.
Someone like you. I've never heard. This is a first.
They were on TV a lot, but I just they all kind of seemed like the same movie to me, and I just didn't really get into them. I don't know why. I mean, I love silly action movies, clearly, because I love Commando and all these other crazy little movies, but I don't know. Just something about the James Bond movies doesn't really click with me, I guess. I don't know. My wife loves James Bond. She agrees with you that Roger Moore is her favorite Bond, so you guys could talk about that together on another podcast, maybe.
Yeah, just put her on. We'll talk about. We'll just do a Bond cast.
Podcast, yeah. I think she watched. She of course she cited that she came of age during the Roger Moore era, and of course that's why she loved Roger Moore.
Came of age. That's quite a viewing.
Maybe
which Bond was she watching?
Well, she grew up with them. I should say.
I see. Sorry, I had something that's going on. Yes.
I don't know. I like Christopher Walken.
You Christopher Walken, huh? Wow. I want some of your schnapps.
My peppermint schnapps. Yes. Grace Jones is great. I love Grace Jones.
You know, Peter O'Toole used a walkie in one of his movies.
But I don't know. Maybe I should just watch it. I love Duran Duran. I love that song a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my review of View to
Doesn't help. You still haven't made amends. Yeah. Well, anyway, Michael, I don't even know what to say. I'm actually kind of annoyed right now.
Oh boy,
I'm not really annoyed. I'm in shock. James Bond. Now, if you had to go back and try another Bond movie, would you do the Sean Connery? Would you do the Roger Moore? Would you do the Timothy Daltons? Would you do the Pierce Brosnans? What would you do? Because everybody knows.
Oh, you know what? I do like GoldenEye. That's the one I like. That's Pierce Brosnan, right?
Yeah. Here's the deal. Pierce, lovely, lovely human being, wonderful actor, great guy. Got bad scripts for those Bond movies.
Yeah.
Just they weren't great, unfortunately. I think GoldenEye was his crowning achievement. I love oh gosh, I can't remember. You know what? I'm more of an 80s Bond fan, late 70s. I'm more of a Roger Moore. You know, he's just Bond to me. Do you know what I mean? So I just and you know, I like the new ones, but the new ones aren't.
Yeah, I didn't like
the new ones aren't really Bond. They're just quick action movies with the Bond music. They're wonderful. They're great. They're great action movies, but it's for. You can't do a Bond movie like you did in the 70s or 80s or 60s. You can't do those now today because kids won't be able to sit tight to listen to why Bond is going on a mission. You have to have Bond jumping from building to building or blowing up something or buildings crashing on him for them to enjoy. Man, I sound like a really old man right now. But anyway, Ron, listen, you know what?
Not as old as Old Tool, though. So.
Yeah, no one's old as Old Tool. But here's the thing, Michael. Go and watch Cannonball Run at least.
Oh, yeah, I want to watch that.
It's as close as you'll get to a Bond.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I want to watch that again. I remember really enjoying that as a kid. Yeah. And my kid will watch it because it's racing cars. So
there you go. And they're racing against the clock.
Yeah.
And I think there's even a walkie in it.
Awesome. Are they racing against the clock tower in Back to the Future?
Yeah, exactly. Burt Reynolds has to get there in time. It's some gigawatt thing. But yeah, there you go. A View to a Kill, my favorite Bond. I don't care what anybody says. That and On Her Majesty's Secret Service is my second favorite. With the other Bond, the Bond who did the one movie. For some reason, I'm blanking on names. And then, of course, Octopussy. I love Octopussy.
Oh, yeah.
I love saying it. I love seeing it. I love everything.
What's your 6B? What choice is that?
That would be Sylvester Stallone fighting Dolph Lundgren in Rocky IV, and I cannot believe that is not on my list.
It is now.
Yeah. Do you want to play the trailer?
Sure, let's play the trailer.
It's ridiculous.
Has the fight been set yet?
It's in Russia. Are you nuts?
I must break you. Rocky IV, rated PG, starts Wednesday, November 27th.
Michael, before I comment on Rocky IV, George Lazenby was the James Bond.
George Lazenby, yes.
Majesty's Secret Service. Now back to Rocky Balboa. Rocky movies. When I was a kid, I hadn't really seen Rocky 1 or 2. I didn't see those until like the 90s. I watched Rocky 3 was the first Rocky movie I watched, but I completely understood it. And I love the characters. But when Rocky 4 came out, something about it, it was like Thanksgiving or it was early Christmas. It came out in November or December. I should have looked this up before we did this. I should have looked up a lot of things. Hell, I didn't even know it came out in 1985. But I remember specifically going to the movie theater, the Crest Theater on Main Street, to a matinee. My dad dropped me off, and then I had flashbacks of Raiders, I guess. And then I went into this 800-seat movie theater. How do I know it was 800 seats? Because later on I would go to manage this theater years later. But I digress. I watched this movie in a matinee. There was snow outside. It was cold. And in the movie there was snow. It was cold. Again, I grew up in upstate New York. And just seeing Rocky kick ass, and I get goosebumps right now even talking about it. I love the 80s music to that movie. I love Paulie. I love the fucking robot in it. I just love Hot Sun Fire. You know that song?
Mm-hmm.
I love, and when Rocky, and I'm sitting in the theater, and there's 800 people, 799 people around me. And when Rocky scaled the top of that mountain in Russia and yelled Drago, and his arms are in the air, and that you can tell it's a helicopter circling, for the shot. And it was this high, wide shot of him at the top of this mountain screaming. I'm not kidding you. The entire audience in the theater pretty much rose to their feet and cheered and clapped, and it was the most amazing movie experience. And of course it was, because here I am at my advanced age now, and I just get goosebumps thinking about that moment in the theater when Rocky climbed the mountain. And when movies can do that to you and move you and make you feel, that is a movie that should not be 6B on my list. But there's other movies that are equally special to me that you'll hear about. We'll talk about. But Rocky IV to me is my favorite Rocky, mainly because of that experience that day. And the movie is so 80s, so cheeseball 80s. I love it. I mean, it's just, there's not really much of a story. That movie, Rocky IV, if you watch it, it's an MTV video, the whole thing.
Yeah,
there's
totally.
one montage after another, but that's another reason I love it. It's just such an 80s Rocky. That's the epitome of 80s, that Rocky film. I love it. I absolutely love that film.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it being a lot of fun, and I love that it was Rocky, the American versus the Russian. But, in the end, was he really the villain? No, he was just the guy who was
You know what, Michael? We were all villains.
Right.
We became friends. The Russians and the Americans, we were friends because of Rocky IV. I don't know much history. I was a kid. But I'm telling you, that movie, any of this making sense. I'm so excited about Rocky IV. What a great movie.
I haven't seen it in so long. I mean, I liked Rocky III a lot. I saw Rocky III in the theater. I don't know why.
Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T. Mr. T is awesome. I don't know why I didn't see Rocky IV in the theater. I feel like I saw like a lot of movies in '85 in the theater, but I didn't see Rocky IV for some reason, which is weird because it was such a big hit. And
when Rocky
saw it.
5 came out in 90 or 91, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Rocky lost all that money. He lost millions because Paulie placed a bad bet or something like that, or got a bad investor. I don't remember, and I fucking hated it. And then I watched it last year with a buddy of mine because we love Rocky movies. And, it's kind of fun to look back nostalgic-wise on Rocky 5, and it's still not great, but it ends in a street fight because Rocky goes back, he gets his old hat, he gets, all of a sudden... Talia Shire gets her old cat-eye glasses back from the first film. I'm like, they were billionaires, and all of a sudden she's got to get her glasses back, and he's got to put on his old hat, and it's just the ghost of Mickey, and it's just ridiculous. But it works for me now, and there's not really a bad Rocky film.
I liked Rocky Balboa,
that's great,
the 6th one too. I thought that was I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the Rocky series. I think it's a good series, and it all kind of holds up. I know he's doing Creed, right?
I was just going to say, are you excited about Creed? Any chance to see Stallone on the screen as Rocky? I'm all for.
Definitely.
One ticket sold at least.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, and I was going to mention this to you. When is the last time you've gone to a movie with an audience that had that much energy, that much excitement for a film? And there's so many rare occasions that you don't get audiences like no one claps and cheers and goes crazy anymore. At least not the audiences I go with.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just I miss that experience. I miss going to the movies and having people really just like a part of it. You know?
I know. I used to, and I saw a lot of these movies in Times Square, and Times Square theaters are legendary for being rowdy, people really interacting with the screen and yelling at the screen and really getting into these movies, especially horror movies and slasher movies.
I saw Halloween 2 or Halloween H2O at the Astor Plaza.
Oh yeah, awesome!
It's a big single screen theater.
One of my favorite theaters that I grew up with. Yeah,
I saw that there with an audience that loves horror movies, and it was sold out. And they were, like you said, that was another one of my favorite experiences, and that's why Halloween H2O is not a great film, but it's a movie I have to watch on Halloween because it brings me back to that night when I saw it with my buddy at the Astor Plaza when everyone was screaming and yelling, "Don't go there! Look out!" They were screaming and jumping, and it was a great experience. They could really. That's why seeing things with an audience can be so great, but you don't. Like I said, you don't get that anymore.
No, you don't. It's true. It's true.
Unless you go see Bridge of Spies. Cheering and clapping with me, Michael.
Exactly. All right. Do you have a 6C or just?
No, I have actually. I got about 10, but I don't want to make this a 10-hour. I'm actually kind of bummed. I didn't put Rocky 5 on I'm actually embarrassed. But let's keep moving. Let's move.
All right. Here's a TV spot for my number 6. Here we go.
Ed Oken can't sleep,
What you need is some action.
so he takes a little drive.
I have something they want.
This is ridiculous.
Into the Night, rated R, now in select areas. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
All right, Into the Night, John Landis film. I guess a quirky choice for sure. I don't hear a lot of like Into the Night fans for some reason. I don't know why. I think Into the Night is a great movie and severely underrated. I love John Landis's comedies in the 80s, and of course he made Trading Places, one of my all-time favorite comedies. And I know you're huge on the Blues Brothers, and I liked Coming to America. So he's made a lot. Of course, American Werewolf in Paris and London.
Wow,
is great. He's made a lot of Animal House, a lot of great movies, but I don't feel like no one talks about Into the Night. I don't know why. I love movies that are set at night, and 1985 had two great ones with Into the Night and After Hours. And I'm not talking about After Hours on my 1985 list because I think I covered it on another podcast, on the New York podcast, so I'm leaving it off. But I just love a journey of someone at night and all the crazy adventures they can get into. And Jeff Goldblum plays this guy who can't sleep, he has insomnia, he's kind of can't deal with the crisis at home with his wife cheating on him, and so he drives at night to the airport, and there he meets Michelle Pfeiffer, who's getting attacked by these guys, and they get into these series of hijinks together, and there's a lot of craziness in this movie. There's a lot of funniness, funny bits in this movie. Tons of cameos by directors. 17 different directors have cameos in this movie. So John Landis is kind of throwing a lot at you on this one, and I have always been a fan. I just think I love movies with a lot of texture, especially comedies that have a lot of texture in it. There's a lot of weirdness in this movie, and you have David Bowie popping up and being weird. You have John Landis himself playing one of the bumbling bad guys, and among many other cool cameos and fun moments in this movie. And I think for some reason Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer to me make kind of an interesting pair. He's an odd guy, of course, but I don't know. I like their chemistry together in this movie, and I think I saw this movie before Scarface. She first caught my attention with that and this one and Grease 2. So I just kind of fell in love with her. And,
Reproduction. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
All right,
I love
sorry.
Grease 2. Such a fun movie. There isn't any dance scenes in Into the Night, so it's the only thing it's missing. But but I do love it. It has everything that I need for a movie that takes place at night, and
because it's called Into the Night.
Exactly.
All right.
It really lives up to the title. Have you seen it?
Here's the thing. I saw it at the Quentin Tarantino Theater I mentioned, the New Beverly, with an audience, and I think it was with After Hours, if I'm not mistaken, which I love. I love
Perfect.
After Hours. I couldn't get into it at the theater for some reason. I wasn't ready for it. I love John Landis movies, but this one really isn't. I think, in my opinion, it's an acquired taste.
It is. It definitely is. That's why probably people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it is one of those movies you have to watch at home, probably late at night, and just like when you're in that weird mood.
Funny you should mention that, Michael, because I went home about a year later, because sometimes I do come home, and it was late at night, and I popped Into the Night, and I really enjoyed it on my own, and I gave it space. I guess I don't know how else to word it, and I enjoyed it. I think it's a wonderful movie. I think it's fun, but again, an acquired taste.
Definitely that. So
it's worth.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand Jeff Goldblum's sleeping habits in the movie, and I don't have specifically insomnia, but I'm more of a night person, so you just kind of imagine these scenarios you would get in if you just like got into your car and drove to the airport, see what would happen. You probably wouldn't meet Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm going to put that out there. So, but you could try. Get in the car. Maybe I'll meet you there.
Hey, you live in LA. You never know who you're going to meet.
Exactly. Let's move on to a VHS trailer for your number 5.
Hello! Did you hear? Pee-wee Herman's now on home video. What? You know, Pee-wee Herman and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, now on video cassette. Yeah. So don't just stand there. Go to your video dealer and get yourself one of last summer's funniest movies.
I meant to do that.
Chase away those winter blues in the privacy of your own home with some wild adventure.
James Bond kind of stuff.
Yeah! Pee-wee's Big Adventure, available on VHS and Beta.
Michael, I know you are, but what am I? I'm a fan of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This film to me, here's the funny thing. I didn't know who Pee-wee Herman was in 1985. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw this movie when it hit home video, and I begged my mom to rent it for me all the time. I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It is such a quotable movie, and people forget, for some reason, at least the people I know, they forget it's Tim Burton. Mm-hmm. And there's so many quotable lines. It's so colorful and so funny, and it zips right along, and with wonderful cameos from the late great Phil Hartman and now Jan Hooks. And Phil Hartman actually co-wrote the film. And so many wonderful sets, and you know what I especially love is the chase through the Warner Brothers lot. Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny, when I moved to Hollywood 16 years ago now, I always thought going to the studio was going to be like you walk down the studio lot. There's elephants, different colored elephants, and jugglers and clowns and space people and aliens and cowboys and Indians and Native Americans. My bad, but. It's clearly not like that at all. If you ever walked into a studio, it's not Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's fun going to the studio, but it's like I always thought it was like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, That movie is such, I'll get corny here, it's a magical treat. I can't say enough good things about Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I've become a big fan over the years of the film. And then I watched his show, his Saturday morning show, which was great until he was caught in the theater. But, we're all human. I went to a screening about 2 months ago, at the cemetery here in L.A. If you don't live in L.A., they have a cemetery. They have several cemeteries, but they show movies on the side of a mausoleum. And we went and saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Paul Rubens showed up. And that was amazing to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure on the outside of the cemetery with 1,000 people in Hollywood, and then Paul Rubens came and talked about the film, and he's promoting his new Pee-wee's Big Adventure movie for Netflix, which I cannot wait to see. Big Pee-wee Herman fan. When I was a kid in school, because I'd seen the movie so much on VHS, I would go and I drove them insane, not in a good way, because I would do my Johnny Carson or my Pee Wee's my Pee Wee Herman impression. Looking back, what a dork. But Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I can still do Pee Wee, but I won't do that to you now.
I love Pee Wee's. I want to hear it actually.
No, but what am I?
I love it.
Person.
All I know is I don't know.
Yeah, I don't make monkeys. I just train them. It's so good.
I love Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Now my kid loves Pee Wee's Big Adventure. It's like one of his favorite movies.
Right behind Bridge of Spies.
Exactly. It just, for lack of a better word, but it is magical. I mean, why not? Why can't a movie be magical? It's
candy. Michael, it's candy. Visually and sonic candy.
It is.
With a great score by Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman, yeah. He kicking off his great scores in movies with Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
That and Back to School are like on a double soundtrack that you can buy, and it's like the perfect musical candy, Michael. Mm-hmm. Let's call this episode Musical Candy, shall we?
Yes.
All right.
It's so brightly colored. It's just a fun to look at. Tim Burton really adding a lot of interesting things to a movie. He was an animator at Disney, so he has that kind of animated feel to it in a way, but a live action version. It has the darkness that Tim Burton likes to play with in his movies. Some bits of that. That Large Marge scene also traumatized him too.
Oh, Large Marge! Forget about Large Marge.
Of course. I just love that. I love all of its beats in this movie.
Large Marge. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to forget if I don't interrupt. I just watched The Fury a couple weeks ago for the first time. Mm-hmm. And Large Marge is in that. She plays like the maid at this, or like the caretaker at this home where, if you've seen The Fury, I was like, oh my God, there's Large Marge. I was so happy. All right, sorry, go ahead, Michael. Fury was good, by the way.
I love The Fury.
Are you eating candy now?
No, I was just replying to a message someone sent me.
Oh, my God. You were wrapping candy.
No. Someone wanted to know if they could send in a top 10 list last second. Okay.
No, we can't.
No,
unless your last name is Pliskin or Jack Burton.
Where was? Oh yeah, Large Marge definitely leaves an impression, and there's so many beats. I love a good road movie. A road movie. Wait, said that. I love a good road. I love.
Are we gonna make it to number one? That's the real question.
I know we started off so well. I love a good road movie, and
I do too.
And this is perfect. I'm glad. That's why I'm so glad that his new movie is kind of a road movie too, right? Pee Wee's Big Holiday or whatever it's being called.
You know what? It could be Pee Wee sitting in a room. I'd love it because he would find something magical to do.
There's just so many great scenes in it. And
how do you like school, Billy? Closed. I love it.
And I don't know. I
remember The Alamo.
I've watched it like 20 times in the last few months, so at least 20 times because of my kids. So
yeah,
I'm glad I'm watching that movie over and over, where I'm not watching something I really don't. I mean, he watches a lot of things I don't want to watch too, but I'm glad one of them is a Pee Wee's Big Adventure. So I'm happy. 1985. Also brought Explorers is the other movie he watches over and over. So two 1985 movies in his repertoire. We also went to see The Goonies, which is another movie I'm leaving off the list. All right, so Pee Wee's Big Adventure. I'm sure I'm going to be watching it many more times in the future, and it has just that much replay value. Thank you, Pee Wee.
Thank you, Michael.
Here is your number 4. It was a TV spot or a trailer? God, I gotta do this.
Fuck, I fucked you up.
No, I fucked myself up. I shouldn't have done this list this way. Okay, I even highlighted all your titles in bold. Here is a trailer for your number 4. Here we go.
I can't remember who met who first, or who fell in love with who first. All I can remember is the 7 of us always together.
Well, it's not just infatuation, Kevin. She's not just a girl. She's the only evidence of God that I can find on this entire planet.
Where did you meet Wendy again?
Prison.
Hi, Felicia. How you doing? Me? Oh, you know, it ain't easy being me.
You know all those nights we stayed up talking? How come you never made a pass at me?
I'm gonna get you a red, lacy baby doll Nike.
Alec, I'm very happy in your old pajamas.
Oh, I'm happy when you're out of my old pajamas.
Alec is becoming a Republican and he wants to get married. Oh my God.
Do you ever feel like you're not accomplishing anything at all?
I think I'm in touch with that emotion.
You're not gonna believe how out of hand it's gonna be.
Ali Sheedy, my gosh, I know I touched upon her in The Breakfast Club number 10. I would love to touch upon her, and now I just sound creepy. But I do love, sound creepy again, I do love St. Elmo's Fire. It's a movie that I discovered on video, and I just could not get enough of it. I can't explain it. I just love the characters. I love everybody in the movie. I love the music. It's still... I just got the Rocky music out of my head. Now I've got Man in Motion in my head. And a lot of people forget Joel Schumacher did St. Elmo's Fire. And every piece of this movie, it just oozes 1980s. And the entire cast, you got Demi Moore, you got Rob Lowe, you've got who else do you got?
Judd Nelson.
Judd Nelson. And you got
Andrew McCarthy.
The grapes tired me out. Everybody in this movie is perfect. It's pitch perfect. The editing, the pacing, the music, the cinematography. I can pop this movie in anytime and just enjoy a good dose of St. Elmo's Fire. It's just a great film.
I think people are a bit cynical with this movie. St. Elmo's Fire.
Why do you think that?
I think people either really love it, but also a lot of people think it's really cheesy. And are kind of like very dismissive of it and think it's just stupid and cheesy, very schmaltzy kind of 80s, like teens, young people who just don't know what to do with their lives and whine
teens
about it.
I didn't know. I still don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Breakfast Club growing up a little bit and moving on to college. What do you do after college? It touches on those things, and then it kind of makes it in a really beautiful, kind of very well art directed. Obviously, Joel Schumacher has a love for like art direction and costume design, and he has a lot of his touches to movies. And it is glossy, but I love that about it. I love a good glossy, beautifully shot movie.
It just looks good.
It just looks so good.
Like Pee-wee, not as childish, but not that Pee-wee's childish, but it's different kind of palette. But it's just candy. Just fun to watch.
It's really fun to watch, and every scene is just beautifully set up, and the actors are all, they all give fun performances. You don't have to like everyone, I don't think. But I think a lot of the actors are likable.
Did you like everybody in college? No.
I mean, yeah, there are characters in the movie who do some pretty terrible things, but it's also a story about friendship, and like you have to kind of. You have to get over. You have to kind of let your friendships are tested, and you have to just kind of try to be there for a person when they're going through some bad shit, and that's kind of part of the story, and what Joel Schumacher was trying to present at the time. And yes, wrapped in a very glossy teen movie package, but that's kind of what I love too. I mean,
it was a huge hit. It really at the time spoke to audiences, and it's still talked about today.
Yeah,
good or bad.
Yeah, to me it's endlessly watchable. I watch this movie a lot. I don't know why, but I do.
I think this is the movie where I fell in love with Ali Sheedy.
And I too had a great love for Ali Sheedy in the 80s. And I agree that something about her look with Short Circuit onward kind of didn't work for me, but I thought she was really adorable, and this movie and The Breakfast Club, of course.
Oh, and War Games. Oh my God,
War Games. War Games especially. I think she was really good in that. And I liked her in Made to Order a lot too. That was a little bit after this one, so I loved her in the 80s. And
you watched her in Blue City.
Who's your favorite character in this movie?
Ali Sheedy.
Besides Ali Sheedy.
I like Emilio.
I do like Amelia.
Like Amelia's character.
He's definitely his character is the heart in his sleeve.
Yeah.
Character who goes out of his way to try to impress poor what's her name?
Andy McDowell.
Andy McDowell, and then of course she spurns his advances, and she has a boyfriend already.
You know what drives me crazy? Just these little movie things. You remember in the movie where he's taking off, and the doctor who he goes to find her up in the Alps or where the hell she is in the snow-covered area, Big Bear, wherever they are, and he realizes because he's been infatuated with her forever since high school or college rather. And, you watch the movie and he's got posters of Woody Allen all around. If you watch the movie, it's really great set design. He's got pictures of Manhattan. He's got a poster of Annie Hall. And that turns out to be the movie that he fell in love with her. They went and saw a Woody Allen movie, and he mentions that to her. And so little thing for you. But when he goes to get her and chase after her, she's with another man, and he has to spend the night because he doesn't have snow tires on. Anyway, when they're taking a photograph, the guy's like, hey, let me take a photograph of you two. Her lover takes a photograph of them, but they're looking the other direction. I never understood that. I know this was a lot to get to this photo story, but damn it, I just love it. Just giving you a backstory. Does that make sense for the photo?
It makes sense, yeah.
They're looking the wrong way. I'm like, you were staring at him. I hate when actors or characters, you take a picture and they're looking somewhere else. Yeah. No one takes photos like that.
It's true.
Anyway, that was you can probably edit that if you want. Jesus, it got somewhere, I think. Now they would just take selfies.
Yeah. And maybe he would have GPS and he would have a AAA. I don't know.
He would have snow tires.
Snow tires, yeah. My favorite character, I think, was Andrew McCarthy at the time.
He's great.
Yeah, he's an actor that I liked in some movies and didn't like in some movies, but I liked him in this movie. I could relate to him. He also is a character who desires someone else, but he just Ali Sheedy, of course, but she's with Judd Nelson, so you can kind of understand where he's coming from. in the movie. Poor Ali Sheedy has a terrible wardrobe in this movie, I think. I think she's the only person has bad wardrobe in this movie. She wears a lot of weird frilly things, and Mare Winningham
she has to wear Spanx or something.
Mare Winningham looks terrible in the movie, but her character calls for her character.
Calls for it.
Yeah, but I don't like Ali Sheedy's look in the movie.
I love Ali Sheedy,
but I think she's adorable.
What she does, except when she's talking to robots in Short Circuit.
And they're not going to live that one down with me because I love Short Circuit. All right,
St. Elmo's Fire. I love it. In fact, I love it more, obviously, than The Breakfast Club.
Even more than The Breakfast Club. So
this is why it's number 4.
It's one to ponder, kids.
Yes,
I really like it too. And the Blu-ray I watched it quite a few times already. So.
The Blu-ray is gorgeous.
It looks really
gorgeous.
Really
it looks like it was made yesterday.
It's true.
The only thing dating it is Ali Sheedy's clothes.
Sheedy's clothes, that's right. All right, here is trailer for my number 4, whatever that one is. Here is did I even do my number 5?
Number 5, great. Another Short Circuit.
Wait, what was your number? Oh, that wasn't your number. I totally skipped my number 5.
Did you?
Yeah. All right, guys. So I totally skipped my number 5.
Wow, this is a crazy episode.
This episode is nuts. Here's a trailer for my number 5, a movie that was overlooked anyway. So overlooked that I overlooked it. Here's the trailer.
There are 2 girls in my life. One's the girl I like.
Have you ever wanted to kiss me?
Come on over here, baby. And the other's a girl I live with.
Also, how's Wedded Bliss? Have you seen him without his clothes on?
Nobody believes we're just friends.
Oh my God. Jeff!
Then the girl I like goes and falls in love with Zoo Knudsen.
Zoo gave me this.
If you think this guy likes you, you're kidding yourself.
He does.
I mean, how could I compete? He's older, he's famous, and he lives in New York. 7 minutes in heaven. You go through a lot with your best friends. love is more than just 7 minutes in heaven.
Okay, that was 7 Minutes in Heaven, a movie that I literally forgot to put on. I forgot when I.
The actors forgot to put it on their resume.
It made $31,000 in its screen run on 6 screens in May of 1985, and I totally forgot here. I love this movie. It's a teen movie about 3 kids, 14-year-olds, kind of trying to grow up, and kind of falling in and out of love with each other, and just trying to find their way in life. And it's a charmer, like
Michael.
Like Once Bitten is a charmer. Thank you. Like Once Bitten charmed me. This one's a real charmer too. Jennifer Connelly plays one of the kids, and of course she was in quite a few movies after this, and she's even won an Oscar. But
Labyrinth.
Yeah, she won an Oscar for Labyrinth? No.
She's in that.
Yes. She was in Labyrinth right after this one, yes.
Oh, all right. Well,
and right before this one, she did that Dario Argento movie, Phenomena.
Right.
And Once Upon a Time in America with Sergio Leone. So she was like really doing a lot of stuff back then, and working a lot. And I fell in love with her, of course, like a lot of us did in the 80s. And I thought she was quite attractive, quite a beauty. I think she really came into her own acting-wise after Labyrinth, but I think she's good here too. But I think she definitely came into her own really as an actress a little bit later on. But I think the actors all do give really charming performances. This is a movie that was made in New York, New Jersey in 85, late 84, early 85. I know this because I was in this movie.
What?
I had a bit of a cameo in this movie.
What are you talking about?
In the stadium scene during the baseball game, I was in this movie, but I was not. I could not find myself in this movie. I was there on set when they were filming for a baseball scene in this movie. But unfortunately, my scene was cut.
Ooh, listen, I've been there. All right.
So this movie, even if I wasn't there for the filming of this movie still charms my pants off.
I'm looking at it right now, not at the movie, but on Amazon. It's like $14 from the archive collection, from the WB archive.
That's the only way it's available, yeah.
But everyone seems to enjoy it. They seem to agree with you. But you don't like James Bond, so I don't know how much.
It's as far away from James Bond as you could probably get. It's just like a little movie about 3 kids just growing up in New Jersey, and it's something I can relate to growing up in New York. And they grew up in the suburbs, so I didn't really have the suburban experience. Something I thought was kind of interesting. Seeing that I grew up in the city, so I had the city experience. But I just really liked it. And
is it 88 minutes in heaven for you, Michael?
It's 88 minutes in heaven, exactly.
All right.
It's a fun little movie. It has key performances, so check it out.
I'm going to check it out. I think I'm going to make a blind purchase.
Here is the trailer for my number 4, which I totally left off the list. Here it is. I totally screwed up this order. Anyway, here it is.
L.A. Fast money. Fast cars. Fast living. The director of The French Connection is about to take you through the city of angels in the fast lane. To live and die in L.A.
Starts tomorrow at a famous players theater near you. Consult your local listings.
All right, so that's To Live and Die in L.A.
Oh.
And by the way, you don't have to buy that movie. Don't buy it.
No. So wait, I'm trusting you.
Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's okay. I'll lend it to you.
No.
You might not love it.
We're talking about still 88 minutes in heaven. Yeah. We're not talking about you can buy To Live and Die in L.A. That's worth it.
Buy To Live and Die in L.A. That's probably more replay value. Okay. I really like this movie.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, to me it's one of the better action movies of the 80s. It's William Friedkin, of course, doing a movie that's, I guess he was known for all kinds of movies, right? by this point, and it's him doing kind of a very 80s movie, which is interesting. So 80s that apparently Michael Mann tried to sue William Friedkin, claiming that he stole his concept from Miami Vice, which is interesting.
Wow.
It's very LA, 1985, and I like William Peterson in this movie. He plays this hothead Secret Service agent who just was a thrill seeker, and he kind of goes in and over his head trying to stop a counterfeiter, and played by Willem Dafoe, an evil counterfeiter, and he just tries to stop him, and then gets into some deep trouble by bending the rules. And
I'm not going to give away the ending. It's a nice twist.
It's a crazy twist in this movie that I did not see coming when I first saw this movie. When that twist happened in this movie, for those of you who haven't seen it, you should cover your ears, cover your eyes.
No spoilers.
Yeah, I won't spoil it, but it made me reevaluate what movies can do. The power of cinema, like how you can actually do something like that, and it works. And then it actually doesn't take you out of a movie. I think sometimes when a director can blindside you with something that happens, especially with major characters, you just don't. I don't know. It can be off-putting, but I don't know. William Friedkin takes a lot of chances with this movie, and he makes a really pulsating, very 80s movie. Wang Chung did the score, and I think he even told them, "I don't want to do." I don't want to do a theme song, and they ended up, of course, doing a theme song, and he really enjoyed it. So, William Friedkin's a director who did take many chances in his career, and he made movies like Cruising, which offended a lot of people, and he's made other interesting choices in his career. And to me, To Live and Die Late is just a really well-made action movie with a great car chase in this movie. Of course, William Friedkin is famous for his car chase in The French Connection, and he manages to almost top himself with the car chase in this movie. It's really good. He also does another really great car chase in Jade. Do you remember Jade?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That Basic Instinct-like thriller from 20 years ago. I don't know. There's a really great car chase in that one, too. So he's the king of the car chases for me.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one anytime recently?
I just watched it a few months ago, and I love this film. Again, and I use this a lot, and I love the 80s. It's so 80s. It's so much fun. It's so good. I love that twist, and I love Willem Dafoe's character, and I just love that. I don't know. I love all the characters. I love the way it looks. I love the way it moves. It feels like it's very LA.
It's very LA, yeah.
Yeah.
This
the title.
This performance art in this movie, which is kind of I love performance art in movies.
Yeah.
And it's not used in a way where it's like condemning performance art, which a lot of movies do. I think it's kind of interesting that he just kind of throws it in there as just kind of texture, and it's fun to see that.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorite 80s movies. I really enjoy this film. It's something I try to show my friends if they say, "You want to watch some 80s? You want to watch a cop movie?" I like good, gritty cop movies. Some of my favorite cop movies are like Sharky's Machine with Burt Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And I love 70s gritty New York type movies like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that one's great. Yeah.
With Walter Matthau. Yeah. And I just love these things. So I like a good gritty cop movie, and this movie just is perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
And it has that age-old or 80s, very 80s cop is going to retire in 3 days and then gets killed.
Yeah,
I love that.
Of course.
I love those kinds of cliches. It plays into the cliches, but it does it in such a breathtaking, kind of interesting and unique way that I don't mind that it does play into cliches from time to time, because it goes above and beyond to entertain you, and it's smart and it's fun, and good actors like William Peterson and Willem Dafoe playing perfect foes for each other. And
Willem Dafoe's.
Yes, I love William Dafoe. Coincidentally, I think did I talk about this on another podcast where Willem Dafoe is one of the good customers at the video store I worked at. And,
really?
And he would come into the video store, and people would have, instead of showing a membership card, they would have passwords on their account. And he came in and he used a password on his account, but I'm like, really, William? You don't really need to. really need a password. We know it's you, right?
Right.
It's Willem Dafoe. But do you know what his password is? Can you take a guess?
Will that screw up his account at the video store if you tell us?
That account is gone.
Okay, no, what was his password?
His password was 007.
Are you serious?
So,
you know why? Because he
yes,
had just seen A View to a Kill.
Yes. He was a big View to a Kill fan, so I am wrong. Totally wrong about
That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess he loved James Bond. I don't think he ever got to be in a James Bond movie, but he deserves to be in one.
Yes, he does. That's great to hear. That's really a lot of fun. Yeah. To Live and Die in L.A., if anything, watch it for Willem Dafoe. He's such a sleazebag in it.
Yeah. All right, so that was.
And you can also learn how to launder money really well from that movie.
You can. You really can.
They actually show you the process in a montage.
I love that William Friedkin.
Wait, who are we talking about?
William Friedkin loves details in his movies, and he really does go out of his way to show the details of how this character launders and how they use poker chips in the dryer to make the money. I don't know, just to dry it the right way and to maybe to make it age a bit more. I don't know. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Love it. Live it. I don't live in LA, but maybe I'll die there. Who knows? All right, so
that's morbid.
That's morbid. All right, so let's move on to. Actually, you know what? Let's take a break since I need to drink more.
Yeah, get your list in order, Michael, and stop forgetting things.
Exactly. I need to drink more scotch. See what happens.
I'm not drinking, but I think I'm going to start.
All right. So let's we'll be right back after this.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after this. Oh man,
what is going on?
Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed that song from Fright Night. It's a fun one. And we're going to get into our top threes in a moment, but I'm going to read some more top 10 lists so I don't forget the rest of them. This is from Twitter. 13 Freckles is the Twitter name. Okay. All right. This is their top 10 list. It's just,
that was my Match.com handle, funny enough.
13 Freckles. I won't ask you where those freckles are.
Or do you?
You'll just have to find out. Let's see. There's no order. So Breakfast Club, back. Well, I guess
there's been no order this whole episode.
There's no order at all. There is no order. Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, Jagged Edge, which we talked about. That somebody mentioned Back to the Jagged Edge. The Jewel of the Nile, which is interesting. I don't know about that one, but Mask, Witness, St. Elmo's Fire, Legend, which is also the first time mentioned, Going Commando, and The Color Purple. So that's a list. Thank you, 13 Freckles, wherever you may be. Also, Joseph Henson, pal of mine. His number 10 is Return of the Living Dead. His number 9 is Just One of the Guys. His number 8 is The Last Dragon. His number 7 is Fright Night. His number 6 is Better Off Dead. His number 5 is Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Let me just say, I was kind of surprised how many people put Friday the 13th Part 5 in their list.
I am surprised. Can I tell you a little backstory on that?
Yes, please.
You like stories. I think I might have mentioned this in another... Man, guys, I tell this fucking story so many times. It's not even that good. I went to an all-night, Friday the 13th marathon, 2 years ago. And they were actually shown out of order. They showed 6, 5, and 4. I guess it wasn't really a marathon. It was just 3 of them backwards. And 6 is one of my favorites. 4 is my ultimate favorite. But during part 5 is my least favorite. Well, 8 is actually my least favorite, but 5 is great. It's not even bad good. I've tried. I love the Jason series. But in the theater, halfway through the movie, was Quentin Tarantino sat right behind me. And he just laughed the whole way through the movie. I guess that's what you're supposed to do. And yes, that's my story, and I know it's not that much. It was just really interesting to me that that's just I think I even heard him mention it's my favorite one. I'm like, oh my God, he showed up just for part 5, and he just laughed the whole way through. Interesting.
If you love boobs, Friday the 13th Part 5 is for you, and we all do. So maybe we need to reevaluate it. Number 4 is Fletch. Number 3 is Real Genius. Number 2 is Going Commando, and number 1 is Back to the Future. He loves time travel movies, so Back to the Future is his favorite. Celeste Heike, friend of mine. Her number 10, and she has some notes too. So here we go, guys. Cat's Eye is number 10, and it's all about Quitters Incorporated. As a heavy smoker of the time when I first saw Cat's Eye, I thought that story got it perfectly. Should probably read the Stephen King story someday. James Woods is oddly hot in this movie, in his time period of Videodrome, etc. Her number 9 is The Stuff. Just brilliant and very funny. No one ever regrets watching this one. Number 8, Desperately Seeking Susan. Another movie that I would have picked today, but I covered another podcast. It's so fun. I love Madonna. If you say you don't like Desperately Seeking Susan, you are lying. Also, great New York City film.
I'm lying then.
You don't love Desperately Seeking Susan?
I don't.
Click. This podcast
really, Mr. James Bond fan?
Number 7, Tough Turf. I love gang films. I love James Spader. Put them together and you have Tough Turf. Also amazing to see the late Jim Carroll on film. Number 6, Demons. I am a huge Argento fan, and Demons is a big winner. Also, I love seeing movie theaters in movies, and holy shit, Demons takes place almost entirely in a movie theater. Excellent special effects and a great soundtrack. Number 5, Reanimator. Stuart Gordon pretty much can't do no wrong in my mind. And Jeffrey Combs is my hero. Number 4, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Your gross nightmares come to life. This one, the series, really walks a line of making the viewer uncomfortable. And before the deaths start to get an even campier tone in the Dream Warriors, things are also often quite sweaty. I totally fucked that up, by the way. Number 3, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Had been watching the television show long before I saw the movie. It was a big excitement because Pee-wee, but the Clown, and Large Marge were enough nightmare fodder for a full summer. Today, though, I never get tired of rewatching Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Number 2, Just One of the Guys. Brilliant, funny, perfect. I first watched it on Comedy Central when they seemed to be going through a period of airing it constantly, along with Heathers. Thank you, Comedy Central. And number 1, Return to Oz. Fairuza Balk was brilliant both then and now. The ultimate fantasy world and hands down favorite fantasy of the 80s. Also makes one ponder about a world where lunch pails grow on trees. Thanks, Celeste. It's a really cool list. I really appreciate you sending that one in. Thanks. And I'm going to save the rest for later, so because my throat's getting kind of crazy.
I get it.
Thanks, guys.
Good list. I like that list a lot. I forgot about Return to Oz. I think I've seen it twice, and it is a nice fantasy. That the 80s were full of those fun, kooky fantasy movies like Labyrinth and like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and like Never-Ending Story. I like and Dark Crystal. I love 80s fantasy movies, and that's certainly a wonderful film.
Cool. All right, so let's get into your number 3. Here is the trailer.
Oh, for God, Don.
What is this man saying?
Bueno, señor Duncan, frente siglo.
What is this man doing?
What in the hell's the matter with you?
What is this man's name?
My name is Igor Stravinsky.
Hi there, I'm Harry S. Truman.
I'm Don Corleone.
They call him Fletch.
Fletch!
Fletch F. Fletch.
He's good at defending himself, disguising himself, and getting himself into trouble.
Well, it be Fletch. Go ahead. Make my day.
He's a reporter.
There are no tags on these mattresses.
Who's about to write the story of a lifetime.
Will you kill me?
Sure.
If he lives.
Thanks a lot.
There isn't a woman he can't charm.
Can I borrow your towel for a sec? My car just hit a water buffalo.
A question he won't ask.
You and your wife are currently alive, I take it?
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
A risk he won't take.
Probably feel 100%
Moon River. To get to the truth.
It looks like you two have a lot to talk over. We'll just catch the last 10 minutes of Dynasty.
Universal Pictures presents Chevy Chase as Fletch.
My hero.
Nothing to it.
Chevy Chase. I have a man crush on Chevy Chase. Not so much anymore, but he was hysterical, and I think a lot of the comedy I do, funny or not, the slapsticky stuff I do, all that stuff I learned inadvertently from Chevy Chase, watching National Lampoon's Vacation over and over and over, and I liked Modern Problems when I was a kid, but boy, is it not a good movie now. There's also a movie he did called Under the Rainbow with Carrie Fisher I saw in the theater. I love that film. It's about the making of Wizard of Oz, sort of, kind of. It's wonderful. Saturday Night Live, pretty much anything Chevy did, I ate it up. And like what, Michael? Candy, yes. But Fletch, I remember going to see this with my grandmother in Oneonta, New York, and we would go to Oneonta for day trips and such. And she said, "Let's go to the movies." And we used to like to go to the movies, and we saw a sneak preview of Fletch, and then we stayed for Chuck Norris and Code of Silence. Oh my God, it was a great double feature. I'm not sure if my grandma liked Code of Silence so much, but we laughed our heads off during Fletch, and I also laughed my head off during Code of Silence. So what can you do? Fletch is to me a perfect movie. There are movies when I go anywhere, like on a trip, if I go out of the country to shoot something, wherever, I take Fletch with me on DVD, or I can stream it on Netflix, but they don't really stream overseas too well. Fletch is a movie that I can just pop in, and it literally is, and this is a good thing, white noise. It's just I know the dialogue, I know the jokes. You can quote this movie much like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's a very quotable film, just like Caddyshack, which is another great Chevy Chase film. Fletch is a movie that is absolutely, positively perfect in every way. Chevy Chase with a great score, almost reminiscent of Axel Foley's score in Beverly Hills Cop. Those two always remind me of each other. The Axel F music and the Fletch music, for some reason, they always kind of go together in my mind. But that just might be me being stupid. But I do love Fletch, and to me, it's just a perfect comedy.
I think Harold Faltermeyer did both scores now.
Well, maybe.
That could be why. You have to look that one up for me. I really like the score of Fletch too.
You did it? Oh, God.
I really liked it.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah, no.
Sorry.
I hate the movie, but I love the score.
You do not.
No, I love Fletch. It's weird.
Tonight, Michael.
Strangely, another 1995 movie that I didn't see in the theater and didn't really discover till later on, which is weird for me because I feel like I watched so many 80s movies.
You're right. Harold Faltermeyer, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop, Fletch.
I love Harold Faltermeyer's scores.
Great. No wonder they remind me of each other.
Thief of Hearts, 84.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Listen to the score for that one. Great.
Summer Rental.
Yeah. Summer Rental. I haven't thought of that movie.
I'm just reading it aloud. I don't know if it has a good score. I don't remember.
I haven't thought of that movie in general. And I didn't get to see it for a long time. I guess I was late to the party to that one. I don't know what the first Chevy Chase movie I saw was, but it wasn't Fletch, so I didn't really get his humor yet. And then when I saw Fletch, I really understood it. Like when I finally saw it, it finally clicked with me. Oh yeah, I get it now. Like he's really funny in this movie, and it's funny because I watched this movie over the years, and I would only watch when it was on cable or TV, and I would only watch it in bits and pieces. So ironic that I played Bit by Bit earlier in the podcast. I love it.
Yes, sorry.
I love that song.
Oh, it's great.
And I don't know, I saw bits of it, and then
Bit by bits of it.
Yeah, bits by bits of it. Yes. And
I threw you, didn't I?
What am I watching? I feel like I'm watching a new movie every time I'm watching it, because I'm I don't remember that scene before. I don't remember this scene. I don't remember that scene because I just watch it in a weird out of order way. And now I just kind of love it, and I quote it, and it's funny, and I could just watch it anytime. It's like a good background noise, like you said. You just have it in the background and just watch a scene and just really laugh and then go about my business doing handstands while going commando and stuff. Not really.
What an image. What a visual.
Not really at all.
What a visual.
Yes. Fletch is just fun. It's just a fun movie, and I think Michael Ritchie directed it, right?
Yeah.
I haven't researched this movie, so I'm not sure. I'm just going, and he made some fun movies in his career, and I like his stuff. And
this episode is not about research.
I did not really research this one too well.
This is a fly by the seat of your commando pants.
Exactly.
Whatever that means.
But yeah, I'm sure it made some money at the box office, and
it did. It was a big hit. My favorite Chevy Chase film, just for the record, is Vacation.
Oh yes, Vacation.
That to me is even more perfect than Fletch.
Yeah, I definitely saw Vacation before Fletch. I can't remember the second one that I saw. I might have even seen Fletch Lives.
The second one was European Vacation, Michael.
That's right. I saw European Vacation. Yes, after Vacation.
Right.
I think I saw Fletch Lives before I saw Fletch 1.
Both directed by Michael Ritchie, Fletch and Fletch Lives.
Both. Okay.
Fletch Lives faring not so well, not as good as, but here's the thing about Fletch Lives. There's some good moments in the film.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the DVD cover. Great fun.
Great fun.
I'd say it's good fun. Some good ideas, but it's no Fletch, and very, very few comedies are better than their predecessors, i.e. Ghostbusters 1 and 2. But Fletch is just the characters he comes up with, and lines like "I'll have a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich, please," and that's just there's so many great lines in this film, and it's you just see Chevy's just flying again by the seat of his pants. You could see it's just pure Chevy Chase.
It's definitely pure him at his purest, and I guess he's usually partnered with other people in movies.
He's partnered with Gina Davis in this, but she's got a very small part.
Yeah, unfortunately.
She's great. She was great in Tootsie for that small part she did. She was really good.
What's the other 85 Chevy Chase movie?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Spies Like Us, right?
I love Spies Like Us.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, come on, Michael.
I don't remember it. It's crazy, right?
I'll watch 88 Minutes in Heaven, or whatever the hell it's called, if you watch Spies Like Us.
I will definitely watch Spies Like Us. So.
All right.
You can watch. I'll watch one of yours. You watch.
Yeah, there you go. Spies Like Us isn't perfect, but you said you like John Landis, and that's a great. It's got a lot of cameos. Spies Like Us has the Sam Raimi in it. Has the Coen Brothers. Yep. It has B.B. King. Wonderful cameo. It has Bob Hope.
He must have made that back to back with Into the Night. Then I guess
probably. It's just a goof. It's basically. Of course, we're talking about Spies Like Us now, but it's basically one of those road. Can I tie Spies Like Us with Fletch?
Yeah, because 85.
it's a takeoff on those road movies that Bing Crosby and Bob Hope used to do.
Oh, okay.
And it's just Chevy and Dan Aykroyd, and some of it falters, some of it doesn't. But overall, it's just a fun. You know what's cool about it? Is funny is Donna Dixon is the love interest to Chevy Chase in Spies Like Us, but in real life, she's married to Dan Aykroyd.
Mm-hmm.
I love that about it.
Yeah,
I love that about it.
And was she in a movie with Dan Aykroyd ever?
Yeah, she was in The Couch Trip with that was awful.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, not a great movie. But she used to be on Bosom Buddies.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Scolari.
That guy.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. He does. I just saw him on a Broadway show a couple of years ago. But I think he was just on Girls, that show Girls.
Yes. I did watch him on Girls, and there's a scene where he actually gets naked in that show.
Yeah, that's. I didn't see it. I'm still got you upside down with for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But yes, Spies Like Us is not a perfect film, but it has some wonderful moments, and to me, it's just a fun. Another movie I saw with my grandmother. And I guess I use fun and a blast a lot because that's what these movies are. Chevy Chase, his timing. That's what Chevy Chase has. You can't teach timing. I guess you can because he taught me just watching him over the years. I just grew watching Chevy Chase, and he's got impeccable timing in these films. And Fletch and Spies Like Us are just perfect examples of that.
I need to watch Spies Like Us again.
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah, there you go. We're learning a lot of new things about each other and our taste tonight, Michael.
All right. And here's a movie I think we both agree on. Here's a TV spot for our number 3. My number 3.
Your number 3.
For our number 3. Here we go.
All of ours.
This is not an advertisement for a new movie. This is a warning. If you are squeamish, if you have nightmares, if you have a weak heart, before you experience Reanimator, think very carefully. H.P. Lovecraft's classic tale of horror, Reanimator. It will scare you to pieces. This motion picture contains scenes of horror that may be considered too intense for anyone under the age of 18. Remember, you've been warned.
All right, so that's Reanimator.
Yeah.
Reanimator is a movie I absolutely love. We're just coming off of Halloween when this podcast airs. So I watched Reanimator during October, and just to rewatch it because it's just a movie that I can watch anytime. I just love Reanimator. It just has so much replay value. It's so wacky and crazy. I guess again you can kind of call it a horror comedy, but I think it plays it a bit more straight than some of the other horror comedies of the time. But it definitely goes to some crazy over the top places, and I love that about it. Stuart Gordon really crafts a really fun movie, a take on H.P. Lovecraft, Herbert West, Reanimator, and I used to like reading H.P. Lovecraft, and I think the story is kind of it definitely stretches the story a bit. It's a very small story, and runs with the story a bit, and I just like the places they go with it. I like that it's a mad scientist movie. I love a good mad scientist movie. I talked about them on the 1980s.
Like Creator.
Yes, the second mad scientist movie of the podcast. And I talked about a fun mad scientist movie on the 1983 podcast with Ben Schur, which was The Man with Two Brains. Fun movie, and I just love that. I love that genre, and this is a fun one with Jeffrey Combs. Really, he's just so much fun to watch in this movie. He's just this guy who just wants to just come up with a serum that reanimates dead flesh, and he'll stop at nothing to do it. He's not really the villain of the movie. The villain of the movie is this creepy doctor who kind of lusts for the dean's daughter, played by Barbara Crampton, and I love Barbara Crampton in this movie. Boobs. I saw
Boobs in everything, actually.
I saw Barbara.
The whole female anatomy's in this thing.
Exactly. Barbara Crampton. I saw her in person recently when I went to see the Chopping Mall Night of the Comet double feature in Hollywood a couple of months ago. Wow. And she was there, and she was actually at the restaurant next door that I happened to be eating at. And
naked.
And she was gorgeous. Not quite naked, but...
Oh, sorry.
But she was gorgeous. And... we have seen her in all her glory in many movies. And Fraternity Vacation, guys, check it out. Gotta tell you.
That one does not hold up as well. You know what holds up? Up the Creek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love that. I'm going off in the tangent, but
I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's Animal House on a raft.
That's right.
It's Tim Matheson.
Tim Matheson, right? The villain of Fletch.
And that's right. There you go. That's the connection I was looking for.
I saw Reanimated a couple of years ago at the Alamo screening of it in Yonkers, New York, because I guess currently there is no Alamo in New York City proper yet. I think they're working on that right now, but
we're working on one here in LA too.
That's right. That'd be awesome. And it was hosted by Joe Bob Briggs, and Frank Henlotter, the director, showed up. It was a lot of fun, and the screening went over really well, and it's just a lot of fun. I took my wife, and she really enjoyed it too. I think it was her first time seeing the movie, and I just loved it. I love that the big guy in the movie that's reanimated was Schwarzenegger's stunt double.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did
that
not
big
know
hulking
that.
guy. I love this. During the sex scene, there's a Talking Heads poster.
I did not know that either.
Which foreshadows things to come, if you've seen the movie. I love the score, which is pretty much a carbon copy of Bernard Herrmann's Psycho score. But I don't know. It's fun to me. I think Richard Ben is a really fun composer of a lot of these Empire Pictures movies. Especially, I love his score for House on Sorority Row. That slasher movie. He does a really good job with that score, orchestral score. And his Psycho riff is fun to listen to. I don't care if it's a ripoff or not, but it's fun.
It's fun.
To. And
it's like James Bond's theme in Cannonball Run, just a couple of notes shy of plagiarism.
Yeah. Speaking of James Bond, to get off a little bit, I did like a James Bond movie in 1985. Remo Williams. That's definitely a James Bond movie.
Well, just not as good.
It was directed by Guy Hamilton, who did like a lot of James Bond movies.
I didn't even realize that. A funny thing about Reanimator is I fell in love with this film maybe about 10 years ago. So I didn't even know about it in the 80s. And it's up there with like Evil Dead 2 for me. That's like the perfect double feature because I'm a big Ash fan. And do you not agree? That's a good double.
That's a great double feature, yeah.
And I love everything about it. And I fell in love with Jeffrey Combs' work. And he did a one-man show of Edgar Allan Poe, directed by Stuart Gordon, here in L.A., and I saw it maybe 5 or 6 times on stage. I'd sit right in the front row like a freak, and just this like literally a 20, 30 person seat theater. And he was just one man, because that's a one-man show, on stage with a snare drum. He didn't have a snare drum, but he was on stage, and he was. I took a friend of mine. I said, "What'd you think of Jeffrey Combs?" She goes, "I didn't see Jeffrey Combs. I saw Edgar Allan Poe, because that's who he transformed into. He was amazing." And one night, one of the times I went to see the play, Wes Craven was in the audience.
Oh, cool.
And I went up to Wes Craven and I told him how much I enjoyed his work. And what a sweet, wonderful guy. He just seemed very cool and nice and genuine. And it was a wonderful evening to see Jeffrey Combs and Wes Craven in one evening.
That's really cool.
And one evening I went and the Tall Man was there, Angus Scrimm from Phantasm 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, all these horror icons were like going to see Jeffrey Combs, and it was kind of cool. You never know who you were going to run into.
That's so awesome.
But yeah, Reanimator to me is a wonderful fun. It's akin to it likens itself to Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's one of the masterpieces of horror in the 80s, and it really holds up, and I think a lot of it has to do with Stuart Gordon's direction. He was a theater guy before he became a film director. This is his first feature film what a great way to start your feature film career off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I've seen all the sequels too. Bride of Reanimator and all there's 3 or 4 sequels.
Yeah. Bride of Reanimator stars Kathleen Kinmont as the bride, I believe, and she was in Fraternity Vacation with Robert Crampton, and they're both
with Kevin Bacon.
And there's a lot of boobs in that, so check that one out again.
This episode is now called Boob Candy.
Boob Candy, exactly. Stuart Gordon's a great director, and he's done some serious work, and he's done some silly work, and I just love his stuff. And From Beyond was this follow up to Reanimator, and I love From Beyond.
And Castle Freak.
Yes, yes.
Funny, speaking of Nevermore, the play he did with Stuart Gordon, they were trying to get, they were on Kickstarter trying to get funding for a feature, and they couldn't raise the money. It was sad because I would have loved to have seen an Edgar Allan Poe movie directed by, Stuart Gordon. Just couldn't generate the interest. This was a few years ago, but yeah, I'm a big Jeffrey Combs fan.
Same here. And have you ever listened to the commentaries on the From Beyond?
You know what? I just got around to Halloween. I'm still in the 70s, but I will get around to that.
You should listen to the commentary for Reanimator or Bride of Reanimator, one of the two. They're really funny.
Okay, I will
Jeffrey Combs and Bruce Abbott are on there, and they're really funny together.
That might just be tomorrow night's viewing pleasure.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into our number twos. Here is the TV spot for yours.
From the farthest corner of a distant galaxy and the deepest feelings of the human soul comes a fantasy to fill your heart.
I feel tremendous. I'm ready to take on the world.
It is everything you've dreamed of. It is nothing you expect.
Oh, I can keep a secret. I won't tell anybody.
It's hard to know who to trust.
It is the mystery of an awesome secret. It is the miracle of everlasting life.
We'll never be sick, we won't get any older, and we won't ever die.
Beyond the innocence of youth and the wisdom of age lies the wonder of Cocoon.
Oh, Ron Howard, what a guy. I mentioned earlier I just finished a movie with him, the new Langdon movie called Inferno, which comes out next October. I got to wait a year to see it, but he is one of the sweetest, nicest guys and one of the best directors I've ever had the pleasure of working with. I love working with Ron Howard, and Cocoon is a movie that I just grew up watching, and it is my favorite Ron Howard movie up until Inferno, of course. Cocoon is a movie that just... I cry every time I watch it. Not because the goot is so cool, but because look at the cast in this thing. You've got Wilford Brimley, and you've got Jessica Tandy and Hugh Cronin, and you've got Oscar winner
Don Amici.
Don Amici won the Oscar for Cocoon, and it's just a movie with a great cast. You've got Jack Gilford, Maureen Stapleton, who I love from Johnny Dangerously. You've got Gwen Verdon. You've got Tawny Welch, who's gorgeous in this movie. She plays an Antarian, one of the aliens. I don't even need to tell you guys what this is about, but I will give you a nutshell. Aliens come back to Earth, led by the great Brian Dennehy, and they have to retrieve their friends in Atlantis who had buried in the ocean floor. And they store the cocoons in a pool that they rent. And some senior citizens in a home next door use the pool, and they realize it's basically making them younger. It's making them youthful. And they want some of that. And havoc ensues. But then it's a race to get back to the ship. But it's a great movie. Barrett Oliver from Daryl is in it. Do you know what Daryl stands for, by the way, Michael?
I used to know when I was younger, but I can't remember now.
Data analyzing robot youth life form. And I did that with looking it up, by the way.
Nice.
Tyrone Power Jr. is in it. Doesn't have a lot of lines, but he's in it. Clint Howard, of course, a Ron Howard staple. This cast is so iconic, and it's so wonderful that Don Amici won the Oscar. He's certainly fantastic in the film. And you know what I love most about this film is James Horner's score. The James Horner score, just playing it. I play it once in a while. Like the day he died, actually, I played it. We were actually shooting Inferno in Europe, and I played it while I was getting ready for work. It was so emotional. It's such a great score. What a great fantasy. What a great drama. It's got comedy, drama. It's just, to me, it's a perfect movie.
I watched it the other day because I haven't seen it in a long time, and it really struck a chord with me. It really is. I guess it would be...
It's a feel-good.
Yeah, it's a feel-good movie, and there's nothing wrong with a good feel-good movie or a sentimental movie, and it has those elements because it's wrapped in this really
a cocoon.
It's wrapped in a cocoon, and with with aliens going commando, and I really dug it. It's a sweet movie about old people trying to recapture something, recapture their youth and parts of themselves that are slowly leaving and going and dying, and I just. Who doesn't want to live forever? And I don't know if I'd want to live on an alien planet.
I don't want to live without the goot.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have the goot. We got to live in a world where the goot is on it, right? I just like that it's a kind of a sweet love story too, in the way, and a story about these old people who just want something else, and I like that it's not completely. Cut and dry. I like that there's characters like Hume Cronen's character is he kind of cheats on his wife at some point in the movie. I thought that was it takes some interesting beats in the movie that
you know what it takes? It takes life beats. It's not all sci-fi. It's life.
Yeah.
It's what happens.
And it runs the risk of being corny and all the things you could associate with movies that go to those places. But I really dig it. I really like James Horner's score too. It definitely sticks out as being just really well done.
It's beautiful. That's my favorite score that he ever did.
And Ron Howard did a really good job with this movie. I like that it's his second. It's really hard to making movies that are set around the water, and he did 2 in a row with this and Splash. Right?
Ron said, the funny thing is, between takes and when there was time for, when they were setting up shots, I would say, Ron, let's talk about Cocoon. So it was just amazing. I could have talked to Ron Howard about John Wayne or about Happy Days or about, The Music Man, which I've never seen. But I talked to him about Cocoon because I love Cocoon, and he would share these wonderful stories. I didn't know Hume Cronin had a glass eye.
Oh no, I didn't know that either.
Ron said he would smoke a pipe and he would take the end of the pipe and tap his eye. Hey Ron, he'd tap on his eye, and Ron's like, yeah, I know, you got a glass eye, Hume. It's just interesting little stories like that. And Ron said he was very proud of the movie, still is, obviously.
Good.
And I expressed my love for the film, and he knows I love it. And I even like the sequel, Cocoon: The Return, which Ron did not direct.
It also feels a little different, but also it has
wonderful moments.
Yeah, it has
wonderful moments in it. It's not Cocoon at all, but it brings all those wonderful characters back. And he also said Wilford Brimley was great with improvising some of the dialogue. I like that whole scene with his grandson. Just telling him he's basically going to be leaving forever as they're fishing. What a wonderful scene.
Yeah, I like Wilford Brimley a lot in the movie too. He's fun to watch.
Yeah. So just hearing these Cocoon stories, it just makes me love the film even more. And it's just one of those movies that's just a part of my childhood, and I'd love to make it number 1, but we'll talk about number 1 in a moment.
We will. All right, so that was Cocoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get to our number 1s. Before that, I should read off more top 10 lists so we can get them all done by the end of the show. Let's see. We got Brad Yasuda. His number 10 is Lady Hawk. His number 9 is Fright Night. His number 8 is Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters.
I only saw the first 2 chapters, so I don't.
You haven't seen the final chapter yet?
What happens to Mishima? I don't know. I'm still dying to find out. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mishima Part 6. Mishima Lives. I don't know.
Mishima Electric Boogaloo.
Yes. Number 7, Return of the Living Dead. Number 6 is Water. Number 5 is Brazil. Number 4 is Legend. Number 3 is Clue. Number 2 is Runaway Train. And number 1 is Akira Kurosawa's Ron. And his honorable mentions include Commando, Breakfast Club, Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend, Silverado, Silver Bullet, Mr. Vampire, Tampopo again, Year of the Dragon, To Live and Die in L.A., and Daryl.
Daryl analyzing a robot youth life form.
Yes. Mickey Worley, friend of mine. Her number 10 is Back to the Future. Number 9 is Silver Bullet. Number 8 is Young Sherlock Holmes. Which
Love it.
Really? I watched it recently. I didn't like it.
Okay, I really like it. I don't love it. I haven't seen it in a while, but I like the idea.
I don't know. Something about it didn't click. Number 7, The Legend of Billie Jean. Number 6, Weird Science. Number 5, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Number 4, Lady Hawk. Number 3, Legend. Number 2, The Breakfast Club. And number 1, Fright Night.
Can I just say, we were talking about John Hughes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of his weaker films for me, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, is Weird Science. Was John Hughes on crack when he made that movie? It's so wacky and nutty, and I'm fine with that. But I went to take some friends of mine to see it a few weeks ago. They were showing it at the movies here as a John Hughes retrospective, and it does not. I got to be honest, they didn't like it. It was really awkward. It's not great. And I don't dislike it, but I don't love it. It's my least favorite, aside from Curly Sue, John Hughes.
It's okay. I love it. Number 10.
Okay, we're not. Okay, that's fine. I just want to know.
I don't know. For some reason, I could watch it over and over. I don't know why.
I had to get that off my chest.
Thank you. David Assassino. Number 10. I'm sure I butchered your name. Number 10 is Gotcha. Number 9 is A View to a Kill.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Phenomena. Number 7 is Desperately Seeking Susan. Number 6 is Fright Night. Number 5, Demons. Number 4, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Number 3, Cemetery of Terror. Number 2, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Number 1 is Clue.
Interesting. I love.
Yeah. This is from Twitter. Dr. X of Cinema Psychosis writes in as his top 10: Brazil, Day of the Dead, Police Story, Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead, Demons, Ninja Terminator, Phenomena, Ron, Fright Night, and his honorable mentions go to Life Force, After Hours, Runaway Train, The Stuff, Creature, Cut and Run, Warning Sign, Nail Gun Massacre, and Evils of the Night. Beardy Freak Reviews at Grindhouse Dave on Twitter, who's always he's been a fan of the show for a while. Fletch, Ron, Return of the Living Dead, Rambo, Day of the Dead, To Live and Die in L.A., Tough Turf, Reanimator, Police Story, and Mr. Vampire. His honorable mentions go to Brazil, The New Kids, Radioactive Dreams, Demons, Last Dragon, Phenomena, Year of the Dragon, Come and See, and Flesh and Blood. And I have one final one. This is a big one from Andrew Rooney, who wrote in just tonight. Here he goes. Kia ora, all the way from New Zealand. What can I say? 1985 was a great year for film, maybe only equaled by 1984. I'm going to start at number 10 and work my way down to number 1. Number 10, Nail Gun Massacre. Oh my lord, what a film. Nasty, sleazy, and ridiculous. Just how I like my 80s slashers. Number 9, Up the Creek. This would make a great double feature with Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah.
Look at that. I like this guy already.
This would make a great double feature with Revenge of the Nerds. It's nowhere near as clever or as slick, but does what it does well.
I agree with that.
Number 8, Commando. Endlessly quotable and about as over-the-top Reagan-era action as you can get. The scene where he stands in an open field mowing down an entire army is laugh-out-loud brilliant. Number 7, Explorers. This little gem probably should be higher. What a great 2/3 of a film. Yes, I said it, the third act stinks, but I still love and enjoy this film to this day.
Do you know why the third act stinks, Michael?
Why is that?
Well, because you're familiar with the movie where they land in the aliens and all that hoo-ha?
Yeah, it becomes more of a cartoon, right?
Well, the problem is they wanted to have there was supposed to be a whole battle in space, and the three boys are supposed to help those aliens with the battle. Mm-hmm. The studio, for some reason or another, basically pulled the plug and said, you're done. And they had to they had to end it sooner than they thought, and they just kind of had the boys go home.
Oh. Yeah, it does feel like it's missing something.
It's missing the third act, and Joe Dante is publicly said, basically it's hard for him to watch because it's an incomplete movie. I still love the film. The first 2 acts are wonderful. I just wish that the studio, for some reason, they shouldn't have. I mean, he did Gremlins. It was a huge hit. I don't know why they wouldn't let him finish this.
Yeah, they should have, really.
Anyway.
He says, I still love and enjoy this film to this day. As a kid, I used to draw that little diagram hoping it would inspire me to build a spaceship. Number 6, The Breakfast Club. While this film doesn't pack the emotional punch it once did, it still entertains, though its small scope and honest performances. The dance scene is just gold. Go Emilio. Number 5, The Mutilator. God, I love this film. The effects are really great for such a low-budget film. The music is outrageously inappropriate, and some of the acting is questionable, especially from a certain checkout operator. But that only adds to the charm. Number 4, Friday the 13th Part 5. This film gets way too much hate because, spoiler alert, it doesn't have a certain character in it. Don't want to give away who it is, but it rhymes with Vason Voorhees. This film is nasty and exploitive as hell. It is indeed the season of the witch of the franchise. I can't get enough of this trashy coke binge of a film. A ton of kills, boobs, and over-the-top characters. What's not to like? Number 3.
I have a list. I have a top 10 of things not to like about Part 5.
But boobs, dude, boobs.
I see boobs in Return of the Living Dead.
Or
in any other Friday the 13th film. Go ahead, please.
The boobs of Friday the 13th Part 5. All right, number 3, Back to the Future. I'm sure this film has been talked about ad nauseum in this episode already.
Have we?
Not really, because we know that movie is talked about all the time. So I won't add much. It is a perfect film, just glorious 80s escapism. And that script, watertight. There is not a wasted second in the film. If only modern blockbusters showed the same level of respect and quality to the audience. Number 2, Teen Wolf. Yes, Teen Wolf. Despite being the ugly duckling stepsister to Back to the Future, I enjoy it more. I traveled to Australia to see family there in '88, and they had this on VHS. We watched it repeatedly. It has a fantastic montage, or 2 or 3.
It does.
And features Fox at the top of his game. You know when he does that little skip into light jog and he's firing on all cylinders. The only guy who plays Styles in this film, without Googling him, I can't say I've even seen him in anything else. He nails it. And the coach's fortune cookie, Pearls of Wisdom, are brilliant. So much fun. We may even have a song from this movie, from that movie in this podcast, because it's such a good song. All right, number 1, drum roll. Clue. What an underrated film. Everyone I show this to just falls in love with it also. The cast is incredible. If you haven't seen it, please pop it in for Halloween. Ciao for now. Chat soon. Okay, thank you, Andrew. That was a great list. Lots of fun there.
It is a great list.
I really need to revisit Clue, I guess.
Do you think Clue's underrated?
I think it is, I guess. I was never like... I liked Clue, but I wasn't as in love with Clue. But maybe I really should watch Clue again, because...
Clue is a great film.
Yeah, I really need to watch it again.
And by the way, the guy who played in Teen Wolf, Styles, his name is Jerry Levine, and he's gone on to direct a lot of things for television. Family Law, The Guardian, Twilight Zone, Everybody Hates Chris. So he's become a director.
Oh, really?
But acting, he did Charles in Charge, Iron Eagle, Out of Bounds. He did Casual Sex, Canine, Swimming with Sharks. So he's been pretty much working steadily.
Oh, cool.
Just so you guys know.
All right, so let's get into... Oh, you know what? I realized I didn't do my number 2.
Oh, boy. I'm going to go number 2. Excuse me.
Oh, man. All right. Cocoon. You did Cocoon, right? What did I do before Cocoon? Nothing? No, I'm so off in this podcast.
Who knows?
All right, here's my number 2 here. Here is the trailer.
Meet Chris Knight, the Einstein of the 80s.
What are you doing out there? Floating, sir.
His IQ is higher than most people can count.
Have you ever seen a body like this before in your life? She happens to be my daughter.
Well, then I guess you have.
When they steal his pet project, he turns getting even into a science.
Roger.
Real Genius. Rated PG.
Now playing at a theater near you.
Okay, that was actually the TV spot for Real Genius. I can't believe I totally screwed up the order again, but I love Real Genius.
No more drinking for this podcast.
I drank a lot tonight, I guess. So
you know what the funny thing is? You're going to realize you didn't hit the record button this whole time.
Yeah, right. Uh-oh, wait.
Actually,
I'm going to take another drink.
Are you taking a break?
No, I'm taking another drink.
Oh, okay.
Might as well. I love Real Genius. I probably even talked about this movie on another podcast, so I won't go too crazy, but this movie ends with a house being blown up by popcorn.
Dream death.
What other movie ends with that? I love this movie. I love a good college movie, and you have these kids who are smart and being taken advantage of by their professor, and to make a laser that can be used for
to resurrect his wife.
Yeah, right. And it's just a very 80s plot. of teenagers, kind of or nerds getting their kind of revenge against another nerd, I guess in this case. But I just love the kids against society kind of plot, and I just always have a good time watching this movie, and it's high up on my list because it has endless replay value to me. I watch it so much. I think Val Kilmer, who clearly has had an interesting career, who's kind of notorious for being maybe not the best person to work with, he's really fun to watch in this movie, and I just enjoy it. Real Genius was directed by Martha Coolidge, director who I loved. She made Valley Girl, which I'm sure you love too. A great film. Yeah. And I just love what she does with this movie. This is a movie that could have been, it could have been directed by a few people, but I think what she adds is a nice touch to it, and I love the cinematography. I think Vilma Sigmund did her cinematography, and just has a really lush feel for a college movie, and I just really dig it every time I watch it, and I just love hijinks in movies, and especially in a college or high school setting, and this one does that really, really well, and has cool, very quotable dialogue that I still quote to this day, and it just makes me happy. I love a good movie.
We want Michael to be happy.
Yeah, please make me happy. Don't make me sad.
We'll pour another drink.
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Gabe Jarrett, who plays Mitch Taylor in the movie. He's the young man who Val Kilmer takes under his wing. I went to one of my good friends, Keith Coogan's wedding, and we were groomsmen together.
Oh, it's cool.
I said to him, that's where I met him a couple of years ago, and I said, hey, where do I know you? He goes, well, I'm an actor. I said, well, we're in L.A. He goes, well, I was in, Real Genius. I'm like, oh, my God, of course. I had met his dad a few years earlier in Malibu. We went hiking through a mutual friend, and his name is Jeremy Joe Kronsberg, and he wrote Any Which Way But Loose and directed a movie called Going Ape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's crazy. But Gabe Jarrett is still a wonderful actor, a great guy, and I really love Real Genius. I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. I'm still mesmerized by the popcorn scene at the end, and Val Kilmer was just I think it's one of his perfect roles for him. He was great. He was just a wise-ass, sarcastic, funny guy in the film. I really love his character as Chris Knight. I really love Real Genius. Good choice.
Thank you. It's one of those movies that if it's on, I'll watch it. I'll just be tempted to throw. I can't think of a movie to watch. I'll just throw in Real Genius because I know I'm going to be really entertained by it. And
or Spies Like Us now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch to Spies Like Us. I think with Spies Like Us, I remember holding out from watching it on DVD because the DVD was full frame, or it wasn't the problem.
Well, the movie was full. It was 185 for the nerds, technical nerds. So, but you would have been fine.
I think it's on Blu-ray. It's in its proper aspect ratio. So.
Well, you're not missing much. I mean, it's not really about the cinematography on that. It's about Chevy Chase. Yeah. We're talking about Real Genius.
Real Genius is 2.35 really uses up the frame in this one.
It uses up every morsel of that frame.
Every morsel of the frame.
Every pixel is occupied.
It's a beautifully shot movie. It's filmed here in San Diego, where I'm currently living. Martha Coolidge's husband, who plays an air traffic controller in the movie, was a display graphics supervisor on Jurassic Park.
Ah.
It opened against.
We're full of trivia tonight.
Yeah, it opened against Summer Rental, which we talked about a little bit.
We did Callback City,
My Science Project, and Dance with a Stranger all on the same day. The previous week, Fright Night, Weird Science, and Follow That Bird opened up, which we didn't talk about. The following week, Key Exchange, Volunteers with Tom Hanks.
Volunteers, Tom Hanks and John Candy and Rita Wilson.
Yeah. Was Eugene Levy in that one too?
No, but it was Long Duck Dong, Getty Watanabe in it.
Oh, cool. He's the funny one. Okay.
And it was directed by Nicholas Meyer, who directed Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Did Nicholas Meyer also direct Time After Time?
I believe he did.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun movies around that time period.
Do you know what My Science Project didn't have that Real Genius did?
What's that?
The Man with No Dick, William Atherton.
Oh, yes.
from Ghostbusters.
I love William Atherton as the bad guy.
He's such a great villain.
He's so great in that. He's great in Real Genius. He's great in Die Hard. Whenever he shows up as a jerk or a bad guy, I just
he's not just a jerk, but he's also he's just like an idiot at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Apparently, it took 3 months to pop the popcorn for that finale, that great finale in the movie.
It's taken 3 months to record this podcast.
It is.
Doubt it.
We're literally 3 months, guys. I meant to release this in November.
Since this started.
You're on another movie already.
Apparently. the fourth Langdon, the film.
Yes. All right, so that was my number 2. Sorry, I almost skipped over it. Let's get into our number 1s. Here's your trailer for your number 1. Here we go.
Hey, man.
They didn't know there was a witness.
Carter didn't tell me about the eyewitness.
Yeah, Amish kid, 8 years old.
A man of force.
I'm a police officer, ma'am. I have to talk to the boy.
A woman of faith.
You don't understand. We have nothing to do with your laws.
Yes, I do. Your son's a material witness to a homicide.
Worlds apart.
Now you have a witness.
Yeah, now I got a witness.
John, what's going on, man? What is happening?
You said we would be safe in Philadelphia.
Well, I was wrong.
He left with the Amish woman, right?
If they find me, they find the boy.
You bring this man to our house with his gun of the hand. You bring fear to this house.
Everyone has an idea about you and the Englishman.
They're looking for you.
I have done nothing against the rule of the Ordner.
Nothing? Maybe not yet.
We know where you are.
Harrison Ford and Kelly McGillis. Witness.
Michael, he's a big city cop, and the other one's a small country boy. They have nothing in common but a murder. That's a tagline right off the poster. God, Witness is number 1. And let me just say, being a Harrison Ford fan, he is my favorite actor. He always has been ever since Han Solo appeared on the big screen, and I was just a little kid. Han Solo was just the coolest thing, and I think a lot of nerds can agree, even non-nerds. And then, of course, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark being my favorite film of all time. I mean, he can do no wrong. So, of course, I saw Blade Runner. I didn't get it when I was a kid, but now as an adult, it's a classic. But Witness was just. I couldn't wait to see Witness. I remember asking my stepfather, Harrison Ford's in a new movie. He goes, well, it's R-rated, but I'll go. And, of course, you saw Kelly McGillis' titties in that. Can I say titties, or are we sticking to breasts?
Boobs, titties.
Boobs, titties.
Oh, good.
So, Kelly McGillis. Oh, and this movie was just so great because they shot it in Pennsylvania, which wasn't too far from where I was living in upstate New York. And I remember we were going to Hershey Park, which is an amusement park that smells like chocolate in Pennsylvania. And, of course, I had to stop the car. I wasn't driving. My dad was, to find out. We'd go to 7-Eleven, for example, and I'd say, was Harrison Ford here? And the guy's like, what? But I was such a big Witness fan that I had my parents take me on the Amish tour. I'm not kidding. We went on a tour of the Amish, and I learned all about, if you have a beard, it means you're married. If you don't have a beard, this is for the men, I hope, that you're not married if you don't have a beard. So when you see the movie, you'll know if you have a beard, you're married.
Okay, wait. So I have a beard. I'm married.
Yeah.
Are you married?
I am not. I don't have a beard.
You don't have a beard. So
See
there
how
you go.
We're like the Amish in more ways than you know.
We're like the Amish.
I learned about that they don't use buttons because it's too much vanity. They use hooks and eyes. I learned that they don't have TVs or phones, and already right away I was like, well, this is not the life for me. But I can, of course, spend 2 hours hanging out with Harrison Ford, watching him take down Danny Glover. And the cast also has a cameo by Viggo Mortensen playing one of the unbearded Amish people. And, of course, a wonderful turn child actor, Lucas Haas, who plays the young boy who witnesses a murder, hence the title Witness. And the movie is directed by the great Peter Weir, who did also one of my other favorite dramas of all time with Robin Williams called Dead Poets Society. Witness has a wonderful score. It's a different score. as well. And it also has a nice cinematography, a nice kind of gritty city feel because it's like a Philadelphia. Like I told you, I love cop movies. I love anything about like cop movies from the 70s and 80s, and Witness has that until they go to Pennsylvania. And it's just, you learn pretty much about the Amish in that film. So the Amish tour in Hershey Park really played a part in my love of Witness as well. Does any of this make sense?
It makes total sense.
Okay. The music was done by the late, great, by the way, Maurice Jarre, who has passed away because I said late. But he also did the music for Weir's other film, Dead Poet Society. And Maurice Jarre had a very different type of musical, I guess, palette. But Witness is where I really it just went with the film. It was just so kind of cool, and I can't explain it because I don't know anything about musical instruments, but I'm sure he used a snare drum at one point.
I've seen Witness like 3 times total, maybe in my life. So I haven't seen it a lot. But the last time I saw it, I thought it was a really solid movie.
It's solid as shit. Harrison Ford got his one and only Oscar nomination for that film.
That's awesome.
He lost out to Raul Julia for Kiss of the Spider Woman.
I'm surprised he's only been nominated once. Oh.
I think it was Raul Julia. Oh, anyway.
No, yeah, Kiss of the Spider Woman was not Willem Dafoe. William Hurt.
But did he lose to William Hurt or Raul Julia?
I think he must have lost to William Hurt because William Hurt won that year, I believe.
Again, by the way, everybody, we really did our homework.
Yeah.
But Raul Julia is also in Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Yes.
So
he might have been a supporting actor. Yeah.
Harrison Ford lost out to some thespian on a movie called Kiss of the Spider, but he deserved it for Witness.
He was really good in that movie. It's a really solid performance and a really solid movie. I remember thinking that the scene in the bathroom when I was younger was pretty scary.
Oh, it's intense. It's an intense
There's some really intense moments in the movie. I probably didn't really... I mean, there's also some languid scenes, too, so I didn't really understand pacing in movies and how you could just have really tense scenes and really languid scenes. But I think it's a really good movie.
I think you said languid. You said languid or language?
Languid scenes.
I don't use the word languid because that doesn't exist in the world of Witness. The movie also co-stars Alexander Godunov, who was the bad guy in Die Hard. He's gone. Oh, I know he's gone now.
Yeah,
what's that?
He was a ballet. It was a great ballet guy.
I think he committed suicide.
Oh no.
Patti LuPone plays Harrison Ford's sister. Mm-hmm. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy Angus McGinnis is in this film. He plays Fergie, one of the bad cops who comes after. He actually he's one of the guys who kills the guy in the bathroom, but he also comes after Harrison Ford in the end of the movie. He's the guy who dies in the corn silo. The corn dumps on top of him.
Oh, cool.
And I did a movie called Captain Phillips with Angus, and Angus is one of the crewmen on the film. But Angus lives in Ireland now, I believe. And I remember Harrison Ford was in town here in L.A. at the ArcLight Cinema a couple of years ago for a Blade Runner screening, and I had to meet Harrison Ford. I'd met him before, but I wanted to kind of talk to him more because he's my favorite actor. Yeah. So as he was walking out of the theater, I said, "Hey, Harrison." Angus McGinnis says hello, and Harrison's like, Harrison, stop. He's like, you know Angus? I said, yeah. He goes, and we started talking. I said, hey, do you mind if I get a picture for Angus? And of course it was for me, but I sent it to Angus anyway. And Harrison was just talking to me for a few minutes about Angus, and it was, I still thank Angus for that because without him, and by the way, Angus was gold leader in Star Wars.
Oh. Funny.
He's a good friend of Harrison. They had just lost touch. It happens over time. Yeah. But Angus is a great actor, and he lives in Scotland, actually. This is just...
Oh, well, that's a cue for me.
Well, there you go. Let's
drink.
Oh, that was for you to drink.
Yeah, Scotland.
But Angus is great, so I'm a little shout-out to Angus, and I was always so happy that... I knew such a wonderful actor who was in one of my all-time favorite movies, Witness, directed by Peter Weir.
Yeah, Peter Weir is a good director. Made some really solid movies over his career.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Peter Weir. Well, that was a really crazy story, but I always go on these little tangents, as you know. I love The Mosquito Coast, also directed by Peter Weir, starring Harrison Ford. He directed Gallipoli, and a wonderful film called The Truman Show.
Yes, and Green Card, which I really liked. Yeah. I did.
Okay, good to know.
That was Witness.
That was my number one. What's your number one?
My number one. Here's the trailer.
Cherry's a girl who wanted to be taken seriously.
I am going to be a reporter.
But her body kept getting in the way.
Pretty girl, you could be a model.
Sometimes I just wish I were a guy.
No, you don't. The male body needs sex at all times. It's a living hell.
So to prove to the men in her life she had a mind, Cherry decided to try life as a guy.
How do I look?
Dashing.
My zipper's open.
That was the dashing part.
What a fox. Dresses like Elvis Costello. Looks like the Karate Kid. I'm gonna get him.
Today's woman has the freedom to be just as sick and perverted as us guys.
She learned their secrets.
I have surprise jock inspections 3 times a week. A word to the wise.
And dated their women.
Yeah, but I got this one rule. I never go out with girls who say bitch.
Now the question is,
What's going on?
Wait, it gets better.
can a girl tell the boy she loves
Terry's such a stallion. Go on, show me your hairy chest.
she's not the man he thinks she is?
Wait a minute, are those what I think they are?
Yep, it's one of a kind. My bro.
Just one of the guys.
Just confused. Of course you're confused. You're wearing my underwear.
Okay, guys, that's just one of the guys.
Oh, how did I not know this? Clearly, we did not. You can just tell everybody we did not talk to each other.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
No research. This is fly by the seat of our commandos.
Everyone who knows me knows I love just one of the guys. So you know I love just one of the guys. Yes. One of the few posters that I displayed before I left New York was just one of the guys in my house because I'm an unabashed fan of this movie. I love it with all my heart and soul. It's a silly teen movie about a girl who pretends to be a boy so she can get some respect and so she can be taken seriously as a journalist in high school. And I don't know, I bond immediately with those kinds of movies. I love the good Tootsie kind of plot, and just one of the guys is the teen version of Tootsie, and so it mixes a movie that I love like Tootsie with a teen movie. And
you know my love of Tootsie, Michael.
Yeah,
that's the greatest comedy in my opinion ever made.
Tootsie is a perfect movie.
It's perfect, and there are very few perfect movies, and that's one of the perfectest.
And for me, just one of the guys is that kind of equivalent for the teen movie, and I just love teen movies so much. And you have good performances by a young cast, Joyce Heiser, who is a really wonderful person.
She's a friend of yours, yeah?
I sort of know her through other people, and I've corresponded with her on Facebook, and we talk, and she's really nice, and she's proud of the movie and the work she did in it, and she doesn't act as much anymore, but she's great, and she's a great person. She's always getting into it on Facebook with other people about her beliefs and her
boobs
and her very.
It's a
memorable
boob episode.
This is the episode of the boobs, guys. You knew it was coming.
Candy Boobs. That's the name of this episode.
Candy Boobs. Yes. I just love Clayton Rohner in this movie. I love Sherilyn Fenn in this movie. I love Deborah Goodrich. I love all the actors. Billy Jacoby, now Billy Jane. He's great as her brother.
He's in a band now.
Yes. Their relationship together, brother and sister relationship, I just love their rapport with each other, and it just makes me smile and laugh. I know this movie inside out. I know it front to backwards, backwards and forward. It's a fun movie, and just makes me really happy. And I could watch it over and over, and I have. This is one of my most watched movies ever, I have to say.
You've been watching it during this whole podcast, haven't you?
Yeah.
I saw the movie at the Cine Family. It's the silent movie theater. Of course, it had sound. It's just called that for like a cast retrospective, and the most of the cast was there, including the director, and it was a lot of fun. I sat right behind Johnny from The Karate Kid.
That's so cool.
I asked a question, and I remember they recorded it, and you messaged me like, "Was that you asking the question?"
Yeah, I didn't see you because you were in silhouette, but I just knew it was you once I heard your voice.
Yeah,
and the question too. I feel like something you would ask. So you guys need to check it out on YouTube.
Never mind, there was something there. I'm not going to do it.
Oh man, I derailed so much in this podcast.
It's great. I think people with ADD, OCD, Dolby Digital are gonna freaking love it.
I was going to say I actually was invited to that screening. I'm not sure if I mentioned in this podcast before, but I didn't get a chance to go because of the same reason as always lately, because of having kids.
Yeah.
But I got to talk to Joyce Heiser about it, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And maybe one day there'll be another screening. I'm sure there will be for this movie because it's awesome and it should be screened weekly.
Every day. It should be, yes. No, daily.
Daily, yes.
Screening.
I guess this movie is also famous for being on cable a lot in the 80s and 90s. A lot of people talk about how it was on cable. And then in the 90s, I think it was in syndication and it was on Comedy Central. So it's kind of cool that it got a lot of play. But I think on Comedy Central, though, they did cut away from the most famous scene in this movie.
What's that? Of course. I'm not going to say boobs again.
No more boobs.
No.
We promise.
No.
We're almost done with this.
Don't promise that. Don't promise that.
I can't promise that.
All right.
There might be surprise boobs at the end, so...
There might be.
I might actually flash the audience, if you can actually see it.
Well, your Commando and boobs are out, so the whole... Well, I haven't bothered. This is another nude podcast. I'm going to throw up in my mouth right now. Give me a...
Trivia-wise, Clayton Rohner, who we love in this movie, was taught to dance like James Brown in the movie by the actual James Brown. So that's pretty cool. If you're going to learn James Brown moves, why not learn it from the master himself?
That's where I learned.
Joyce Heiser. She has a bunch of Bruce Springsteen posters in her room. Apparently she dated him for a few years. So it's interesting that her character...
Before or after the movie?
Before the movie, I believe.
Interesting.
She was a bit older. She wasn't quite a teenager when she made this movie. I believe she was around 25.
Wow.
So in the grand spirit of 80s teen movies, everyone was in their 20s and 30s.
I was going to say the cast of... I was watching, because it's Halloween, a couple of days before Halloween, I was watching the Elm Street movies, and it's always funny to see the teenagers in school. They're 38,
mm-hmm.
and it's always funny to see... these adults playing teenagers, and Ralph Macchio could get away with it.
Yeah, he definitely looked like a kid. He still has a very youthful look to him.
He can still pass for 8 or 9. I mean, it's just amazing the casting process back in the 80s.
I will say to the defense of some of those movies that kids in the 70s and 80s kind of looked older than they do now. I feel like the teenagers now look like
Justin Bieber.
Basically, yeah, they look really, really young, even though they're older. Maybe it's the water. Who knows? Or the vitamins that we're giving our kids now.
I still like 18, Michael.
Yeah. The Karate Kid is of course a big connection to this movie with William Zabka in it, and I also like that.
Did I mention he sat in front of me at the theater?
Yes, that's
right.
Oh,
sorry,
he did. And I like how they mentioned that her character, when she's dressed like a boy, looks a lot like Ralph Macchio. So there's a couple of connections to the Karate Kid movie we love so much. We talked about in '84.
Did I you know who I loved in the film is my favorite character in the whole movie, and I think we all know it's Billy Jacoby's character.
Oh, he is the best.
He's hilarious. He
is so funny and so on in that movie. Every scene he's in steals the entire film. And just the relationship between the brother and sister is just so hysterical. I just like how she just is so annoyed by him as you would be. His character is a bit much, but to our benefit because he makes me laugh so much in this movie. The writer of this movie, he went on to do Full House, that show, and he also, but even better, he wrote Summer School. So I got to thank you, Jeff Franklin, the director of this movie, Lisa Gottlieb. She was a casting assistant on a movie you love that I think I mentioned earlier in the podcast. A movie about two brothers who sing the blues.
What's that?
Blues Brothers. What else could it be? Right?
She was a casting director in that movie?
She was casting on that.
That's amazing.
She teaches film history in Miami currently, or at least I'm actually not too, I don't know how current that is, but she is an Academy Award winner. She won a Student Academy Award in 1980, so you could say that Just One of the Guys is directed by an Academy Award winner, which is amazing to me because
by the student body.
I think she won the same year that a certain animator won for his student film, John Lasseter.
Who's that?
Don't know. No clue.
Just kidding.
Joyce Heiser was also in a couple of movies that I also loved. Staying Alive. Gotta love Staying Alive. Only I do, of course.
I have to see that again.
It's so over the top and hilarious. I love it. Valley Girl. She showed up in that one, and They All Left, the Peter Bogdanovich film, which I really like.
With the late great John Ritter.
Yeah, he's good in that. He's great in that.
Yeah, he's always good. Well,
yeah, and she's also in This Is Spinal Tap. So she showed up in a bunch of things in the 80s. Clayton Rohner, of course. He was in April Fool's Day, which we love. Modern Girls, which I love. I, Madman, and The Relic. I remember in the late 90s when The Relic came around. Clayton Rohner, he has a pretty big role.
Can I ask you a question off topic, but sort of on topic?
Sure.
Halloween's coming, you just mentioned it. April Fool's Day. Why the love for that movie? The reason it kind of bummed me out because everything was fake at the end. I mean, I know the movie's not real. They don't really kill the actors. But at the end, you think that these people really got killed, and then they're not. It was an April Fool's. Maybe that's the I don't know, catch.
Yeah,
because I mentioned it to you, but it's like watching it was kind of a letdown. Of course, it's been years.
But the way I have to look at it is, it's called April Fool's Day. Like, if you can't go out on a joke, then
edit this whole
exactly like this podcast.
I'm gonna watch it again. I'll watch it. Never mind. April Fools. I was kidding. I love that movie. Yeah. April Fools.
Love it.
Love it. It's on right now in the background. White noise.
Deborah Goodrich, who was in Just One of the Guys, was also in April Fool's Day. So we're gonna talk about April Fool's. This is the April Fool's Day podcast, by the way. Lee McCloskey, he played the jerky boyfriend. He was in a couple of movies I really liked, called The Bermuda Depths, a 70s TV movie, really cool movie. Urge everyone to check that one out. Inferno, the Dario Argento movie.
No, not that Inferno.
Not that Inferno. Sherilyn Fenn, we mentioned, we love her. R.A. Gross. Tony Hudson played the best friend. She played the friend a lot in movies. Billy Jacoby, so many movies, so many horror movies in the 80s he popped up in, like Bloody Birthday, Hospital Massacre, Superstition.
He mentioned your name, and he was like, oh, Michael Ferrari is awesome. How's he doing? What's going on? Kidding, he didn't. I was just trying to make you feel good.
Thank you. I was like,
you couldn't be there.
My heart stopped for a second.
All right, I know. I could tell. I was going to have to finish this podcast alone.
Go on about the actors in the movie, because the actors really make this movie work. Much like Tootsie, how the actors really the script.
Did you say Tootsie or Titsy?
Titsy.
Swear to God, you just said Titsy.
See, we promised not to talk about boobs, but there we go.
But you just said Titsy. It's like Peter Old Tool. What's wrong with you tonight?
Oh boy, I'll never go Commando again for a podcast.
I love Tootsie.
Box office wise, it made about $11.5 million, so it wasn't a huge hit, but actually that's pretty good for a teen movie in 85.
4 of those dollars were from teenage me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And me.
And you, $8 unless you went to a matinee.
I probably did. I always went to matinees.
$6 went to, all together between me and you, towards the theatrical run of Just One of the Guys.
And I probably saw it multiple times. It opened against Stick, the Burt Reynolds film.
Oh my gosh,
The Great Stick.
I love Burt.
Around the same time, the previous week, Moving Violations opened, The Company of Wolves, then Code of Silence, Gotcha.
Code of Silence.
Code of Silence, which is actually one of the better Chuck Norris movies. He didn't have a lot of gems in the 80s, but I liked them, even though they weren't so great. But Code of Silence was definitely a better made film than some of the other ones.
I agree.
Gotcha, Gymkata, the great Gymkata, Private Resort, And the biggest hit that month, Lady Hawk.
Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Broderick and Rutger Hauer.
Exactly.
With a wacky soundtrack.
It is a wacky. I remember this.
That soundtrack belongs in Staying Alive, not in Lady Hawk. But you know what? It's part of the magic of Lady Hawk now. You watch it and you go, what were they thinking? But it's Lady Hawk.
It is Lady Hawk.
What do you prefer, Lady Hawk or War Games?
Oh, War Games. For sure. I like Lady Hawk, but I'm not, honestly, I'm not into that kind of fantasy kind of movie, like Lord of the Rings kinds of things.
First, you don't like James Bond, now you don't fantasy movies.
I'm dropping some bombs today.
Seriously.
Losing many, many listeners. But I did like Lady Hawk. You see, I make exceptions for certain things, especially 80s movies. I just don't like newer fantasy movies, maybe. Maybe I should just add that. Newer fantasy movies.
Well, the newer fantasy movies are remakes of the 80s fantasy movies.
That's true. I don't like remakes.
One last question.
Mm-hmm.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off or War Games?
War Games.
Jesus Christ.
I really love War Games. I talked about War Games on the 83 podcast, and my co-host wasn't as enamored with War Games. I really love War Games.
I love it too. I grew up with it, but what is your fascination with War Games? Well, I mean, give me some highlights.
I don't know. I think it's the idea of being. I like that it's about a smart guy who kind of takes these risks and gets into trouble and gets in over his head, but then he kind of has to use his smarts to help solve the problem.
But he has a Falcon to, I guess. All right,
I guess so. He goes to the right person to help.
The cast is wonderful. I love that. Anything with Dabney Coleman, within reason, is great.
Yeah, the supporting cast is really, really good in that movie. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, our girl of this podcast, Ali Sheedy.
Ali Sheedy.
So there you go. All right, so that was just one of the guys. Our top 10s. We got through it. We survived barely. I don't want to go on forever in this podcast. So thank you so much for you guys out there for keeping up with us, staying up with us, hopefully, or if you're listening in your car, hopefully you haven't crashed or ejected.
Can you hear that? Can you hear this?
Yes.
That's the paparazzi's here.
Okay. I thought you were reenacting a Duran Duran video with girls on film or something.
Taking a screen grab and it's like, hey, it sounds like paparazzi because I think I'm drunk. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Drunk on water again. Okay, guys. So we're going to wrap it up. So how can we find Jon Donahue? At the movies.
Go to the local bar in Burbank. You'll find me. Any bar in Burbank, you'll find me.
I forgot to mention that Jon Donahue is a co-administrator on the Cinema de Meep Facebook page. So he posts things on there.
And movie poster lovers, which I often share on Cinema de Meep.
So go to Movie Poster Lovers on Facebook. Yeah. Like it, please.
And if you want to like me, I have a Twitter page too. It's at JONDONAHUE. My first and last name at Jon Donahue, no H. In John, in Donahue, there is. And IMDb, I'm on there too.
Yes. Like him on all of those platforms, please.
Thanks, everybody.
Follow him. He's a funny guy.
Lovers. We love movies, and we love, as you can tell, we love movies, and we like to drink, and we like boobs, and it's all of it's good.
We love this stuff.
And Michael, where can we find you?
Cinema de Meep on Facebook. I do a lot of stuff. I post a lot of stuff on there. Retro Movie Love Podcast has a Facebook page. I have a blog, Cinema de Meep, which I rarely post on these days, sadly, but because time is so limited. But I really enjoy doing these podcasts. So
you're focusing on Facebook, though.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier these days. But we have 24 episodes in. So if you haven't listened to any of the others, go find them on iTunes. Go find them on RetroMovieLove.com. Go to iTunes and like us or just rate us. Higher the rating, the more people who listen to us. Reviews help too, so that would be great. So we're out there on the internet, and you can meet us in person. We'll be doing signings soon.
You're kidding?
Not really.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Who knows what the future has? But we do know the future has a big Inferno for us. So.
Oh, yes, it does. I can't wait till next year to see this movie. What a blast. I know a lot of people diss on Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. They're fun movies. They're definitely scenic and beautiful. But this time, Ron Howard it's just going to be so, what's the word I'm looking for? The camera's always moving, and it's going to be, it's just going to be pretty fast-paced and fun. And it's been a few years since the last movie, so I think Ron and Sony and the producers are just trying to make this an action-packed, awesome movie. I think it's going to be really cool.
I've seen those movies, and they are really entertaining and really gorgeous to look at. So that's the kind of movies I want to go see in a theater. I don't want to go see a really long, boring drama. Right. I want to see something really exciting, and those movies are exciting. They're
I can tell you just from being there that this movie is, and I'm not just saying this, maybe I am, but no, I'm not just saying this. It is going to be different from the other two movies. It's going to be really cool. Not that the other ones weren't cool. It's going to be a different look and feel.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, to the Langdon movies.
Langdon.
Yeah, hey, Michael, thanks for having me on for this podcast, and it's been a blast, and I'm going to have to figure out this Bond thing with you. We're going to have to sit down and watch Bond movies.
Oh, no.
To tie you down.
He's got to tie me down. I may be Commando. I don't know. We'll see.
So but maybe we don't want to watch the Bond. No. We'll watch all just one of the guys. How's that? Exactly. No one will have to be tied down. No one will be Commando. I like that idea.
Okay. He suddenly changed his mind. I win.
Really quick. You said Commando tied down. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. You don't have to like the Bond movies. I'm fine with that. You know what? I have no problem with that. To each his own, Michael. To each his own.
Glorious, I win. No Bond movies. Okay, guys. We'll be back for episode 25, and we'll see what happens there. I have no clue what it's going to be. But
you don't even know what just happened for the last 3 hours of this.
Exactly. Thank you for hanging in there, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again.
See ya.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Fuck him. He was trash.
I was down to zero, still an unsung hero, waiting for my ship to come ashore. I stood empty-handed, like a seagull stranded, watching all the other seagulls soar. I was slowly losing hope, twisting frayed ends of the rope in a suicidal fantasy. I was going to extremes, losing sight of all my dreams again. I never thought I'd win. I was blinded by the pain, running wild through the rain in a parody of ecstasy. I was inches from the edge, fingers clinging to the ledge again. I never thought I'd win. My cool, I'm not the fool everyone expects to play me for. Watch me change the pattern, steal a ring from Saturn, forge myself into a man of war. I'm equal to the task, I won't hide behind a mask. What you see is what you'll get from me. I'm stronger than they think. They can force me to the brink again. Now I know I win. Win in the end. I'm gonna win in the end. Win in the end. the thunder, rolling out from under every cloud that's flashing in the sky. Like a true defender, I will not surrender. Why should I lie down for them and die? I am equal to the task. I won't hide behind the mask. What you see is what you'll get from me. I'm stronger than they think. They can force me to the brink again, but now I know I'll win.
When you grow up, your heart dies.
Who cares?
I care.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Very crucial. Something every guy does. Let me see you scratch your balls. Hey, come on, try it. Wait a minute. Watch the master. Now first, there's your basic shift. But that's not always enough. Sometimes you gotta get inside, dig a little, let some air in, move things around.
Yeah, well, maybe my balls don't itch.
All balls itch, it's a fact.
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to know you at all. I can't stand it. Have you ever seen a body like this before in your life?
She happens to be my daughter.
Oh, well, then I guess you have.
Coming down?
Yeah. No, seriously, listen, if there's ever anything I can do for you, or more to the point, to you, you let me know, okay?
Can you hammer a 6-inch spike through a board with your penis?
Not right now.
A girl's gotta have her standards.
How'd you like your crotch set on fire?
Ooh, rough trade.